I'm Chris here, and I'm with Joe Eigo. Joe, you there?
Hey, yes, I'm here. How are you?
Joe, I'm good. How are you?
Super magical.
And by the way, in case you guys never heard of him, Joe is the guy who. I only know you as a stuntman. I didn't know you were in Jackie Chan's stunt team, but we'll get to that in a sec. You were also a stuntman. Did the role of Sporticus in the series LazyTown, and I've seen your stunts. You are freaking insane, dude. The backflips is just. It's just unparalleled. Like I've seen your stunts. You do backflips and make it look like a walk in the park. Especially in that book, Matrix for Real, multi-level moves. You could go walking on the wall, just flip out of nowhere. You don't. It's like you don't feel it there. Like, man, that's unbelievable, dude.
Thank you, thank you. I believe when you use your imagination and you have a strong belief, you can defy the forces of nature. It's a really magical time for people to experience this kind of energy. It only inspires other people to do the same. So I think it's a really magical time. We have the internet, and there's people out there that are, they're young children watching these videos, and they're getting inspired. So who knows what kind of future generations of superheroes will be created in this world.
Of course, and not only are you a stuntman, but you're also you're into spirituality, and you are also into talk about at least Illuminati and New World Order, which I didn't expect you. I thought you were just a stuntman. Like I've had before, Zamora the Torture King, Tim Cridlin. I don't know if you've heard of him. I've had him in the past, and he could put like a skewer through his skin, and he talked about the experience and but I never thought you would be wanting to know more about the New World Order itself and Illuminati, etc. And you also asked the energy healer and all that.
Yes, it's really interesting. Everything in this world is made up of energy, and when people start to question what is the next level of energy, and they start to look at different levels of health, they start to explore different levels of consciousness. And this is a really big part of expanding our awareness in the world. How conscious are people? Do they know who they are? Do they know the world around them? Do they see it from a higher perspective? So it gets people to question these things. For me, I used to think I was just a stunt guy in the films up until 2010. And then something really changed my life in 2010 that made me start going down this spiritual warrior path. Some people may have heard Rainbow Warriors. So I believe it's important right now. We have to see ourselves like a cell on this earth, and we're inside a body that's filled with cancer. And the cancer is really a type of consciousness. When people start to become conscious of who they are on the inside, they can affect the world around them on the outside. They start to generate their own frequency rather than being enslaved by a type of frequency that enslaves most of the world, which is the frequency of fear. So when people learn to transmute that fear and they learn to shine from within, a lot of powerful things happen. And it's hard for a lot of people to get to that state of awareness when they have all these energy blockages. Yeah. So I started getting into energy work, energy healing, working with super crystals like 144-sided Vogel crystals. There's a lot of interesting things that have happened in just the last 4 or 5 years. So I'm really excited to be on the show to share that.
Yeah, it's awesome having you on. By the way, where's this crystals you were talking about just now? Something like that out of nowhere.
Oh, these are the most powerful super crystals on the planet. There was a time when Atlantis existed, and the people at that time were using crystals for everything. They knew how to angle and cut the crystals to generate free energy. And for a lot of people who are always questioning about the ancient pyramid.
You're aware of this? Well, this energy is not free. It's just that the reason it's called free energy is because it's out of stuff you can get out of nowhere. Like you can get people. There's a bunch of alternative energy modes of alternative energy like water or anything else, and I've talked to people on air and off air that they can confirm that you can run a car on water, etc. But that's one of the stuff that's being suppressed along with the medicine, because
absolutely. I mean, look at the pyramids on our planet right now. A lot of people may not even know how they were created, who created them, what their purpose was.
Some people say aliens created, or they were a source of energy.
That's right. Both are correct, and they were a source of energy.
I'm not sure for a fact if aliens created, but I think a bunch of people somehow create it, even though they didn't have the modern equipment as it did. But how could aliens just create it, and then there's no way we could document that with them? Like, I don't know. Do you think honestly think that aliens created the pyramids? Because
Yes,
that
I
can't be
believe
our
they
excuse
did
just because we don't know something.
because our world has been seeded by many extraterrestrial races, and if people started to discover the true history that took place on this planet before any religions took over and sciences made people forget about the real magic that exists in this world, they would start to look inside quartz crystals. Quartz crystals have seen the Earth for millions of years, and inside the crystal is where the true lost information is stored, longer before any Bible was created. So people who know how to meditate with these crystals will remember those ancient times, because during Atlantis, before that empire was destroyed in many atomic explosions and big floods that wiped out the whole Earth at the time, the spiritual people back then knew there was going to be a disaster. So they started to program their knowledge into crystals, because they knew in the future certain people would find these crystals, meditate with them, and bring that lost information back in a time before they're trying to start World War III. So we're seeing that right now. We're seeing the result of like the Illuminati trying to start World War III. They're trying to start a war with the Muslims.
Ukraine, we're trying to start wars with Russia, thanks to awesome George Soros and everybody who works with him. So like, but there can't be a world war. You know, all these wars were perpetrated by the bankers that are running our country, and they're running the most parts of the world. So there has to be a way to stop these people, because they're destroying the planet.
So the same thing that's happening in our world now, it's the same thing that happened back in Atlantis. Back in Atlantis, a lot of the people who live in North America and Europe are actually reincarnated souls from Atlantis. So back in Atlantis, there was a small group of black magicians that destroyed it. And the same people today that exist are the Illuminati. And they worship the devil. They worship Lucifer. So they found a way to come together in secret meetings to find ways to plot a way to enslave everybody. So if we knew how to come together the same way and to summon Archangel Michael and all these different divine forces, they would realize that, you know, one thing most people in this world are unaware of is that our Earth is hollow, and there's advanced life forms that live inside the planet, and there's like a paradise inside the planet. And those beings that live inside the planet are the true rulers of this world. You know, back in World War II, even Hitler went looking to find entrances into the inner Earth. And there was this one guy named Admiral Byrd that went for an expedition to explore the North and South poles, because there's a big entrance inside the inner Earth through those through the North and South Pole.
But what about the oceans? There's also good stuff in the oceans, but it's more harder to go down the ocean than to go to deep space.
That's right. That's right. And so there's a lot of things in our world that if people start to know the true history, they make them question things more. Like even just the origins of humans, you know, like why do we have a lot of DNA from different types of creatures out there? What happens when you activate your DNA? What is your DNA? Your DNA is your physical representation of all your spiritual experiences. So a lot of these kids that are being born right now, they label them the crystal children. Society says they have ADHD, but it really means attention to the higher dimensions. Their DNA is more activated than the old system is, and they're resisting it. So there's a shift taking place, a shift of consciousness.
That's the stuff they won't tell you, but like you're saying ADHD, their DNA is more activated? Like, what is up with that? Because I have ADHD myself. So, and I was diagnosed a few years ago when I was 12 or 13, but it's not like something you could get rid of necessarily. I don't know if maybe I was lied to about it all these years. I don't know. What's your say on ADHD?
I believe it's a gift. You know, there's a lot of people who are born in this world with magical gifts, and the school system looks at these gifts like they're not important. They want to destroy people's imagination. You know, when you're a child, you know what you're supposed to do in this world. But as you get older, the world tries to make you forget. And it says, what's the point of using your imagination? You need to follow orders, you know, pass this test, get a job, just be like everyone else. And that's why a lot of the kids out there
for like forever.
What's that?
Then you're stuck in a cubicle, you know. Yeah, in the business environment, you're one tiny part of an immense amount of people, also in cubicles. It's like a grid, and you like zoom out of that. It's all like a bee's nest or anything like that. It's a modern version of slavery, because you're there day and night. You expect to be paid. You're gonna do that forever, and then you're just supporting the system. But you're not really getting any benefits, and it's gonna lead to all kinds of stress, etc. You're not gonna be enjoy your life to the fullest.
Well, it's just like the movie The Matrix. You know, if you were to look at what humans are, we're like an energy source. There's certain beings that we can't see because we're only using five senses. But a lot of these beings, they exist in a spectrum of light that's beyond the visible light spectrum. They exist in infrared, ultraviolet, X-ray, and or even radio frequencies. And because most people have blockages in their psychic powers, like the third eye, because the fluoride they put in the water,
Yeah,
and the
where's this
toxic
third
food.
eye thing?
The third eye is called God's eye. When you open up your third eye, you gain superpowers. You gain very powerful wisdom to the universe. And when your third eye is very healthy and moving at a very healthy frequency, you don't get sick, you don't get old, you don't even die. You become immortal. You know, and so this is a very powerful energy that flows through the body through the third eye. But because people stop using their third eye over eons of being enslaved by certain forces that have taken over this planet, hijacked it, people's third eyes have gotten smaller. And so they started to breathe less universal energy to their bodies.
Wait,
And
Today, a
they
young man on acid
this is originally from Bill
realized
Hicks.
that all matter is merely
I don't know if you heard of
energy
Bill Hicks. But
condensed
he
to a
was smart
slow
guy. He knew like
vibration.
so much a bunch of.
That we are all one consciousness experiencing itself.
Sorry, I hear something in the background.
Yeah,
Hello?
that's Bill Hicks.
There is no such thing as death. Life is only a dream. And we are the imagination of ourselves.
Yes, I hear that, guys.
Yeah.
Here's
Speech.
Tom with the weather.
You know, the third eye. You know,
Yeah,
that remind every time I think of that reminds me of Bill Hicks. You know, he knew, he actually got the message, but I still didn't get what does this third eye mean? They say it's like he said it's some kind of the brain. If you look up the term, it's like somewhere inside the brain, but like I don't know. Is it just an expression?
What's that?
Is it just like an expression, like the third eye? Because what exactly
Third-
is a third eye?
The third eye is actually this gland in your brain called the pineal gland. And the pineal gland, when it's stimulated properly, it releases a crystal. This crystal is called DMT. And DMT is a crystal that helps you connect with other dimensions. When you have a dream, when you go to sleep, your third eye releases this DMT crystal, and it gives you that out-of-body experience to travel into other realms. There's a lot of people that go to Peru and they meet shamans, and they'll drink something called ayahuasca, which has a lot of DMT in it. DMT is found in all plants, and when you drink this DMT, it's like you're awake, but you're in a dream state. And you get to see other dimensions. Like the other dimensions that you can see, they look like our realm, but the veil is a little thinner, so the light's a little brighter. And when people see what's going on when their third eye is open, they'll see that there's also other beings in those realms. And these beings we're in the third dimension, most people, right? But in the fourth dimension, there's a higher fourth dimension and a lower fourth dimension. And some people can refer to the fourth dimension as the fairy realm. So in those realms, there's other beings that exist. And some of these beings may not even be good beings. They feed off human suffering and stress. So when we look at what's going on in our world, this world has been created to create maximum amount of fear and stress. Anyone who watches television and gets stressed out is afraid. These beings, they feed off of that energy. So what this fluoride does, like when people watch TV, it hypnotizes people. There's like a frequency coming out of television that makes people into a zombie, and it keeps on implanting subliminal messages into their minds so that they don't think for themselves. They just become like programmed. That's why they call TV programming. And back in World War II, the Nazis would use fluoride in the concentration camps to suppress sedate the people in there, so that they didn't feel like they needed to even revolt to get out of there. So they're doing the same thing today in North America by putting a lot of fluoride in our water. Yep. And the people that are trying to exterminate everyone on Earth, they're known as the Zionists. And these Zionists are the ones that created the banking system, and they look at the rest of us like we're cattle. They call us goyim. They look at us like, they feed off our energy, and they plan to exterminate everybody in wars, toxic food. They put Fukushima radiation in the ocean. These forces are doing everything in their power to destroy this world like they did to Mars. And Mars used to be like Earth at one time, but there was a lot of atomic battles that took place there. So there's literally what's happening on Earth is it's a huge galactic battle, and people, it may be a little bit overwhelming, but they see themselves, how do they fit into this? I say, you fit into this by your own transformation. Every person who activates himself becomes like a living crystal matrix on the Earth that affects many people. Because we outnumber the enemy. The enemy is a small group of parasites in this world. And, once we learn to get rid of these parasites, they can take on the form of an etheric being that can get stuck inside the aura field. These beings, they want to plant negative thoughts in your mind. And when you have a lot of these negative thoughts in your mind, they feed off of that energy. So there's some people that know how to perform exorcisms, psychic surgeries. When you use a crystal, you can use the crystal to remove these entities. There's so many different ways of removing these entities.
Oh yeah.
Because when people's what's that?
And it reminds me of something from Star Trek where there was like some kind of hologram known as a
Captain's log, stardate.
To fast forward it, and it's more like some kind of holographic thing that comes out of nowhere.
Your ship racing from this galaxy at wild speeds. How did I perform this sabotage, Kirk?
Weapons.
We will in fact.
I'm having a hard time hearing you.
It's just some weapons that it's more some scenes that shows that how one tiny thing that's a hologram can manipulate everybody and have everybody fighting against each other. If you look at Star Trek New World Order 1967, Cap Kirk tells us how to beat the NWO, News Worldwide. It shows a bunch of stuff, what the enemy's tactics and PR, what they do to try to get us into fighting each other. And then they realize it's just some spirit there, starting everything.
And ideology, and
this is what
patriotic.
You're right.
And whether it's some kind of brainwashing, like there's a bunch of stuff that's like from 9/11.
Constabulary, their word. Such aspirations are
it shows how people are brainwashed into thinking that there's certain things are actually the case.
Us to so-called police the world.
We have always fought.
Either you were with us.
And there's good old Bush there again. And you even have
It's most urgent
like Alan Greenspan
that we locate the alien entity immediately.
The Federal Reserve is an independent agency, and that means basically that
that's Alan Greenspan.
When the lieutenant became unconscious,
and
the alien lost energy.
See, that's an alien
It subsists
entity.
on the emotions
New World
of
Order
others.
just some like evil spirit.
This one
it says New World Order
appears to be strengthened by mental radiations of hostility.
Whenever we're fighting against each other, it actually gets bigger. But the more people try to get together, it actually would leave.
That's
the
right.
fighting must end, and soon, or we're a doomed ship.
That's exactly how it works. We are multidimensional beings in a multidimensional universe. So what we have to understand is that everything is multidimensional. Even our bodies, we have this physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual body. So whatever you do to one affects the other. It's like a parallel universe. And there's other beings that are trying to hijack this consciousness, because that's the battle right now. The battle is a battle of consciousness. We're coming out of the age of Pisces, the age of deception, illusion. And we're now in this age of Aquarius, which is the age of truth, rebellion, and enlightenment. And as people start to get to know who they are better.
Yeah, and it's also like you're breaking your spell also, because like if somebody, you're trying to get into them somehow, but then the cognitive dissonance that they have, they can't realize that what exactly would a false flag be, what an inside job is, what the New World Order is, and people don't realize. They think it's all nonsense, but you put all the puzzle pieces together, you realize that there's something.
We must find a way to defeat the alien force of hate and stop
everything, social engineering, and making us fight each other. Meanwhile, they go to the bank.
Absolutely.
For the rest of our lives. 1,000 lifetimes.
And people speak about the return of Atlantis. What it's really meaning is like the return of the consciousness of Atlantis. The lost information, people imagine a world where everyone can thrive. We use these technologies that can literally abolish a lot of the slavery in our world. With our problems in the world right now, we need help from extraterrestrial beings and angels to work with us. They respect our free will. So when people on the surface become more aware about the inner Earth beings and all the galactic beings that are here to help us, they'll assist us in what we're doing. This is an incredible time right now as people start to look at how vibrations work, how we are on the third dimensional frequency, how we can ascend into a higher frequency range. And that happens when you start to clear up all the negative energy inside your body. This energy can be a result of all these past life trauma, karma, energy cords, entities, all these different blockages, because your soul will imprint whatever you experience from your past life. So if you had a very traumatic experience, it will imprint in the form of a birthmark in this lifetime. So there's so many different ways of looking how to purify ourselves. Like if you look at water coming out of the sky pure, it mixes with the earth, but when the right conditions come, it can go back up to the heavens pure again. So we have to learn how to transmute that negative energy. And one of the best ways you can do that is to invoke something called the violet flame. The violet flame is like a million prayers. It's spiritual alchemy at its finest. I speak a lot about how to transmute negative energy. There's a free way to do it. There's a cheap way. There's an expensive way to do it. And for people that pay the price to evolve spiritually, they will have a much higher frequency than other people. And a time right now when they're spraying chemtrails in the sky, making people sick, and people are blasted with negative energy, they'll learn how to raise their vibration.
And it's something about, the vibration, the string theory that I mentioned from Michio Kaku. And I keep thinking again, as the video goes on, you have Captain Kirk with one of the villains, and he's like telling him what it would be like if you would actually have all this us fighting each other,
senseless violence, fighting, while an alien has total control over us. And it goes on and on, good old game of war, pawn against pawn, stopping the bad guys. While somewhere, some thing sits.
And then,
be a toy. Be a good soldier that never questions orders.
And it's about, you have to question everything. The Nazis, the soldiers in the Nazis would never question anything. So, eventually they throw away the weapons. They throw down their weapons and actually stop
fighting. This is Captain Kirk. A truce is ordered. The fighting is over. Lay down your weapons.
That's why we've seen what happened in World War II. We could prevent it. Right now, what's happening in America is that
the cessation of violence appears to have weakened the captain and suggests that good spirits might make an effective
weapon. They're trying to disarm everyone.
Get off my ship.
And they're forcing vaccines on everybody. They're trying to put this microchips in these vaccines, so once they inject you with the vaccine, they'll microchip you, and they'll also make you sick.
The microchip can actually be programmed to destroy you too.
Yeah,
there's one guy that is completely nuts. He works at a company. He actually has a microchip implanted. That you can see this on video. A British man implants RFID chip, and he doesn't realize that if somebody wanted to rob the company, they could just cut his hand off or arm off. Like, how stupid can people get? He's implanting the RFID chip, and then it's just unbelievable. And the RFID chips, and if you don't want to be part of this, you can be turned off. Your chip can be turned off, and since the economy is more digitized, and then you won't be able to buy anything, etc. So you'll be you'll be ostracized, etc. People are gonna line up for this stuff, but there has to be a better way to warn these people, because this is stupid, and it's a joke how we could let this happen and tolerate it, but how we could let it happen. And I had a bunch of people who told me what do you want us to do, etc.
We got to use our imaginations. I believe the reason why there's a lot of problems in this world is because it's the same level of thinking that create a problem. We need to get a new level of thinking. We got to use our imagination, and that's why I believe imagination is greater power than knowledge, because it encompasses a lot more. Where do you get those thoughts from? Thought creates reality. It comes from another realm, another dimension, and then you manifest into this world. So, I believe there's a lot of people now that are going to start to learn how to work with magic. Magic was a very normal thing in the ancient worlds. The ancient Egyptians were proof of that, the way they were using their technologies. It's really powerful to learn how to work with energy. Magic to me is simply intense prayer. If people knew how to focus their thoughts through meditation, they knew how to amplify their thoughts using a supercrystal, they knew how to open up all their chakras, including the third eye, they would start to think more positive. And, thoughts really affect a lot of things. If you're not in control of your thoughts, other things will try to control your thoughts.
Yeah, and one of the Albert Einstein quotes, no problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it. And
that's exactly right.
Knowledge is useless without imagination.
That's right. And science is boring without spirituality. So we have to understand that things should be understood as a spiritual science. If it's understood scientifically, you can't understand the spirit. So there's a lot of things have been put backwards in this world for a reason, for control purposes. So the last thing that these rulers want is people to become self-empowered, people to question everything, people who are slaves rising up against their game. The game Monopoly teaches people that bankers never lose because they print the money out of nothing. So this is the time that we can learn to question, what can we do as a collective? How can we come together? what unites everybody. And that's why I believe so much in the prophecy, Rainbow Warrior prophecy, because what does everyone have inside them? That's like the color of the rainbow. Everyone has the chakras. You know, it doesn't matter what religion or class, people can find a way to unite each other. And because this is what we got to do. There was a guy in history, his name was Genghis Khan, and he knew how to unite people. Oh. And he might have been told that he was a barbarian killing people, but he found a way to unite people, even if they had different religions. And he was a very powerful shaman himself. He knew how to use weather magic to conquer his enemies. So we're looking in a world right now where the number one threat to our whole planet is geoengineering. When they're spraying all these chemtrails to manipulate the weather, and they're attacking California, and they're having a drought in California, that's going to later run into some major problems when there's a food shortage. They're trying to use food as a weapon to control us.
I'm not condoning to destroy a planet, but if there's any like drought, we should find a way to geoengineer the weather. That way there could be rain on any farms that are with drought. We should find a way to help the farmers.
That's what I do with shamanism. I do shamanic magic. I show people how we can summon the forces of nature at Mount Shasta to call in the storms, because Mount Shasta is the root chakra of the earth, and it's under attack by the global elites because they want to destroy the root chakra. Their goal is to destroy the spirit of this earth, and that's why it's the role of shamans to help connect with the spirit of the earth and heal people and heal the earth's spirit. You know, the spirit is we are the cells of the earth, and if we become like healthy cells, super cells of the earth, we can affect a lot of people. So that's why right now, if people understood how their thoughts can affect the weather, the number one pollution in this world is negative thinking. How do we get rid of negative thinking? How do we use our powerful affirmations? What's the name Jesus mean? The name Jesus in French means je suis, meaning I am. So when you speak the words I am, you're saying God within me is. And if you turn it into a powerful, positive affirmation, you create your reality with the spoken word. In the Bible, it was like, in the beginning was the word. It wasn't in the beginning he created and things happen. Word changes matter. So when people know how to be aware of their spoken word and to create their reality using powerful affirmations, they can program their subconscious mind. And that's a really important thing to understand. The mind is a very powerful thing in our world. And once people start to move out of their mind and back into the heart, they're going to start to realize the heart is the true master, the mind is the servant. And too many people have been locked into their left brain, the logical side of the mind, which only controls 4% of your mind. And this is why the sacred feminine has been suppressed for eons, because when you connect with the female side of your brain, you connect with your intuition, your psychic powers. And they don't want people to become psychic. They want people to be robots. So I like to tell people a story. When I do my best to wake people up, I say to them, I used to be normal, and this is what happened. I raised my energy. I started to think different when my energy was raised. I couldn't think this way if I was eating zombie food, watching zombie television, hanging out with zombie people all the time. I had to learn how to raise my vibration, and that took time. That took practice. So this is why I'm so committed to this sacred mission, which I speak so much about on this website I created with some friends called RainbowWarriorProphecy.com. So yeah, people are going to go, what makes you a Rainbow Warrior? Well, if you always felt this desire deep within your DNA as a child to save this planet, and you came here from somewhere else to make a change, that can be considered part of the prophecy, Rainbow Warrior. Because like this is a giant living spaceship, and the parasites in the spaceship are trying to destroy it. So like the battle between Archangel Michael and Lucifer is this. Lucifer is trying to rival the Creator, so he's trying to prove that he can destroy everything of the Creator. So everything that's not of the love vibration, love is the structure of the universe, the glue of the universe, is the frequency of Lucifer, the separation frequency. All healing comes from the power of love. The more power of love that you have flowing through you, the more effective your healing. And in our society, if people learn how to love themselves unconditionally, we live in a world that's much better than what we have right now. But the programs on the television make people love things, love having this, having that, not learning to love themselves unconditionally. So yeah, it's a very powerful time.
Yeah, and in the beginning you said crystals, some kind of crystals come out of the pineal gland in the brain. Like what exactly these crystals come out? And something about the third eye. I didn't quite understand that. And I'm sure if I don't understand that much, the listeners will barely know what the heck you're saying. So can you explain in layman's terms maybe?
Yes. Your third eye is your psychic power in your brain, and when you have a healthy third eye by practicing meditation and eating healthy foods, even practicing sun gazing, there's a crystal that comes out of your third eye, and this crystal is called DMT. dimethyltrimethylene. And what it does is that it connects you with other dimensions. For a lot of people that take magic mushrooms or they drink ayahuasca and they hallucinate, what they're really seeing is they're seeing with their third eye another reality that's like ours, but it's a slightly different. So for a lot of people who are schizophrenic, they're really actually gifted because they have their third eyes open and they can see other realms. But our society suppresses them because they're like, oh, you must see something that we don't. There must be something wrong with you. But if these people knew how to use their powers properly, they could become powerful healers. So this crystal is very important because this crystal exists in all life on Earth. All the plants have DMT, and if people understood how to use this kind of crystal in their lives, they would start to eat better. They would start to think better. They would start to question, why is there fluoride in our water that blocks our psychic powers? Why is there fluoride in our toothpaste?
It's all a genocidal plan. You know, you can see this in Georgia Guidestones, you know, maintain humanity up to 500 million. I'm not making it up. You can look up Georgia Guidestones. And
yes, I understand all about that. That's how the Freemasons and Illuminati, they like to say what they're going to do in front of people, and people don't believe it. You can look at the U.S. dollar bill, and you can fold it up. You can see the Twin Towers on fire and all these other things, right?
Yeah, and by the way, like, when you said about, like, crystals, etc., like, what about shrooms or weed? I heard it. Like, I'm not condoning drugs, but there's a bunch of rumors that weed and shrooms open up the third eye. And
I'm not sure about weed, but weed has a crystal in it too called THC, but mushrooms has something in it called psilocybin, which is very similar to DMT crystal. And what that does, it opens up your mind. You know, that's why they make it illegal, because when people start to take something like that, they question a lot of things. They're like, okay, so why do we have a government? Why are we paying taxes and the government's using it to kill us? Like, this doesn't make sense. This is complete madness. That's the reason why they don't want that.
Oh, because like, so if you're talking about these crystals out of the gland, some of these actual crystals come out of there, or it's just a figure of speech?
There are actual crystals that come out of your third eye. And you know, you can get those crystals in natural plants. Some plants contain more of it. And some people even smoke these crystals in a crack pipe, and it gives them a temporary experience where they're like dreaming, but they're awake for like 5 to 10 minutes. And sometimes they'll even take this in like a brew. It's called ayahuasca. It's what a lot of shamans in Peru will mix together with sacred plants. So when you drink this brew, it has a very powerful healing experience. And you need to have like supervision if you're not experienced with this, because a lot of people will purge a lot of negative energy out of their body, because that's what the medicines are designed for. And there's a spirit in this medicine. So yeah, there's a reason why a lot of these corporations are burning down the rainforest, because there's a lot of these medicines in the rainforest. There's a reason why there's a genocide of Native Americans, over 100 million of them, because there's a lot of shamans that belong to that were part of the native culture in North America. So these forces are trying to come after all the shamans, because the shamans have a connection with the spirit of the earth, and they're trying to suppress these kind of things, because the last thing they want is a bunch of people awakened that know what's going on. You know what I mean? So it's a battle of consciousness in our world, and people understand what that's all about. They'll be more focusing their thoughts towards more positive things.
And when you said ayahuasca, I would look a bunch of images. The art is just unparalleled. It's like insane is just an understatement. Insane is not enough to call it. Like, you see all kinds of colors and all this stuff. What does that drink really do if you would actually drink it? I don't even know if it's illegal here or anything, but ayahuasca sounds interesting.
Ayahuasca is like it's like you're dreaming, but you're awake. And what happens to a lot of people when they do it in a shamanic way is that there needs to be the most important thing when you do psychedelics is you need to find the right setting. You also want to be with the right people, because if you're not in the right setting, negative things can happen. Like, your aura will be open. You may see things you're not used to seeing. What shamans do is they guide people through the experience. They'll say a protection prayer, create a sacred space. They will hold the space for the person who's taking the medicine. A lot of shamans are actually experienced enough to use the medicine, so they know how to help the people who are going through their transformation. The medicine will make people release a lot of heavy vibrations out of their body. And once those vibrations are gone, they're going to be able to see other dimensions and travel. And you know, a lot of people who take these medicines, they come out of that experience not afraid of death anymore, you know, because it's like you die and you come back. You know, they say when you die, your third eye opens up and this crystal comes out, the DMT, and that's what connects you to another realm to leave your body. And your soul actually does have weight to it. When somebody's body dies, they lose weight. Like the soul has like a vibration to it. So it's quite interesting to.
So all this stuff, if you can actually learn how to use it properly, I'm a skeptic. I'm not gonna deny that. That's why it sounds very tricky. It almost sounds like just an old wives' tale. But if you were to actually to master this kind of art or those forms of spirituality, you can wipe out all kinds of like stuff like depression and disease.
Oh yeah, big time. You're exactly right on point there. A lot of people who take magic mushrooms, ayahuasca, a lot of people they stop having addictions to certain types of drugs like cocaine, heroin. A lot of people are addicted to even antidepressants, and there's massive side effects with those drugs because the big pharma companies are run by people who worship the devil, even Monsanto. And so they want people addicted to these chemicals nonstop and to be slaves to that.
And they'll suppress anybody. They'll put anybody in jail just because you have something like MMS or any other. And I don't know what's your thoughts on MMS. Have you heard of it?
I'm not sure what that is. I might have heard of it.
Mineral miracle supplement.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's I mean, there's so many. That's the reason why cannabis is also illegal too, because if people make it into a healthy oil, you can actually destroy cancer cells with cannabis oil. And there's a lot of uses you can use that plant for, and that will affect a lot of big pharma companies.
But as far as the legality of cannabis oil, the crystals you were talking about, and the ayahuasca, can you get this stuff legally or?
No, that's the reason why a lot of people go to Peru, where they look for shamans that offer that kind of a service.
And what about the crystals?
Even the DMT crystal, that's an illegal substance because people who take something like that, they start to think different. This is like unplugging from the matrix when you start to open your mind. Isn't that
like meth? Meth is considered crystal. I don't know if I'm correct.
I'm not sure what the molecular structure is of meth, but it's probably a lot different than DMT crystal. I mean, DMT crystal and psilocybin are almost same in molecular structure. Even the same chemicals in MDMA or ecstasy, it's almost the same as what people experience. It's just a few molecules different. So, yeah, even LSD, it's the same thing.
So
acid.
Wow. So and you said something about a sacra. What exactly is a sacra?
Sacra. Sorry, I'm not sure what
you were saying before. Something about a sacra.
Oh, chakras.
Chakra. My bad.
Chakra. Okay, so if we look at everything in the third dimension, it's made out of light. So the chakra in Sanskrit really means wheel, like a spinning wheel. So in the third dimension, people have 7 major chakras. And these chakras are like the color of the rainbow. The slowest moving chakra is the root chakra. It's moving at the color red. And that energy there is the energy of the I am. It's your survival energy. And then it goes all the way up your body, different colors, corresponding to the color of the rainbow. Right to the very top where it's ultraviolet, where it's the fastest frequency, it connects you to the spirit world. So when you have a healthy chakra system in your body, you will have a healthy aura in your body. But if those chakras get mangled, most people in our world only use 1 or 2 out of 7 chakras. Even when they're making love, they're only using like maybe 2 or 3 chakras. Very few people have their heart chakra open enough to connect their heart chakra with someone else's heart chakra. So it's really interesting how that works in our world, because the first chakra is like survival. What can I get out of that person, And then the second one is like your desire chakra. How can I use what I have to get what I want from them? That's normally what most people use. They don't know how to use their power chakra, which is their ego chakra in their stomach, to do, and then they don't know how to use the heart chakra, which is to love. And then the throat chakra is number 1 blocked in a lot of people, because it's like to speak your truth. It goes with the color blue, and most people will even know Archangel Michael is working with the color blue, because blue is the color of like truth, cutting through the illusion and speaking a truth. And then when you get to the third eye, it's like the color purple. It's the violet color. So that's the 6th sense. A lot of people in this world maybe use only 5 senses. But when you open the 6th sense, you become very psychic. And then you open the seventh sense, which is the chakra of understanding. You see how everything connects to each other. You know, it's like you see how you connect to the whole universe through the seventh chakra. So there's actually 144 chakras. If people knew how to activate that, they would be on another frequency range. But the 7 major ones are the ones that if people understood how to even make these chakras bigger and stronger, they would look at health a lot different, because everything's energetic, right? Whatever you do to your energy body, it affects your physical body. But first it affects your nervous system, then your immune system, and then your physical body. So if you know how to change the energy around your body, you will change your physical body. Even Superman, he goes inside a crystal chamber, a crystal cave to re-energize himself. So if Superman can use a crystal, we can use a crystal too. And that's why, you know, if people understood the power of crystals, they would see that all our electronics use crystals. You know, crystal simply means frozen spirit, or Christ in all is what I would like to say crystal means. And it has a structure to it that is perfect in geometry, so it can hold a high vibration of energy. You know, so there's a lot of things people can learn about crystals. They can learn the true history of this world. They can use it for healing. They can use it for protection. They can use it for technology. There's a lot of things, you know. And all the pyramids on our planet used to have a giant crystal on top of them, which connected that pyramid to another pyramid on another planet or another star system. But since the fall of Atlantis, a lot of these Illuminati and Freemasons, they destroyed those sacred sites so that people lost the connection to the divine source.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So that's what they try to do, is cut the divine source off of everybody, even in your third eye. That's why the vaccines are loaded with toxic chemicals that shut down your psychic powers.
And it's also, this is all mind-boggling. My mind's going just hearing all this stuff, you know.
That's beautiful.
What?
That's so beautiful that your mind is expanding rapidly.
Oh, because but what about when it comes to like using your mind? I've been told that you can actually hear yourself come out of a wheelchair if you use your mind, look at yourself in the mirror. I don't know what's all this. I would think it's just kind of, it's too crazy, but does it really work?
It does. I survived a bike accident, motorbike accident in 2012 because I meditated, believing I was already healed, and I used the crystal to magnify it. So if people understood that most people only use a small percentage of their brain for a reason, what happens if you use more of the brain? I mean, look at dolphins. Dolphins have the same brain as a human, but they use they just have a bigger brain, and they use, I think, 15 or 20% of their brain. What happens if we use more than our brain power? That means we become these superhumans, you know, and people have to think, you know, that maybe that cartoon Dragon Ball Z maybe it was trying to teach us something. Maybe that show Avatar, The Last Airbender, trying to teach children how to work with their chakras and to be spiritual warriors, you know, like, there's different elements in this world, and if you know how to connect to these elements using your mind, you'd be surprised what you can do. I mean, there's even a scientist that proved that your thoughts can affect water, and his name is Dr. Masaru Emoto. And so if your thoughts can affect water, how much more do your thoughts affect your body? You know, you could believe right now that you're really healthy and, you know, you're really strong. You just have to program it through your mind first. You know, the stronger people meditate, the more they meditate, the stronger they will get. People don't practice meditation. Most of the time, their mind is scattered, easily distracted, you know, and that's why it's so important to understand how much power is in the mind when we start to unlock our gifts. And it's hard to get to this level of understanding if we have these energy blockages inside of us. So yeah, working with energy is just the beginning. Imagine what you could do when you use a lot of your mind power. You know, you can send healing thoughts to affect people long distances. You know, I mean, thoughts can travel. If people understand how far thoughts can travel, they start to question what happens if you use a thought amplifier. I mean, the scientist who developed this experiment, he did an experiment on plants. He wanted to see if plants can actually feel his thoughts, and he put a machine to the plant, and he pulsed his breath, breathing in through his nose, and putting the energy into his third eye, and he would send that thought wave to the plant. And he would affect the plant from like 8 feet away, and then he tested it at 8 miles away, then he tested it at 8,000 miles away. And then eventually he developed these crystals called the Vogel crystal. And he developed these crystals, because they're cut a certain way, they would magnify human intention. So yeah, I mean, this is the world that we live in right now. You know, we're living in the age of Aquarius. Aquarius rules the higher mind. And what happens when we use a lot of our mind? We can do a lot of things. We could probably do what the ancients did. We can levitate giant boulders with our minds. You know, do something like what they did in Star Wars. You know, like the Jedi.
The Force.
The Force, yeah.
Wow, to do it with your mind, that sounds hard to believe. But what about when it comes to this DZT? and it was the movie was Limitless, and was it NZT? Oh yeah, it was NZT. This guy takes a pill and he get to do everything he could possibly think of. We're learning a new language, etc.
Absolutely, just like the Matrix.
For looking like this.
I believe
I'm a writer.
Maybe access 20% of my brain. This lets you access all.
You know, it's a very interesting time to walk this earth. You know, it's like people are coming out of a dream and they're like, how come I've been sleeping my whole life? I didn't understand this. Oh yeah, I was part of the mix. How can I, you know, a lot of people are going to start telling their awakening story. Like my awakening story was so extreme. After that experience, I cannot look at this reality the same. And that's why I live this way. So yeah, that experience is it's a storybook I've been writing. And, I'd love to share that story sometime.
Sure. And by the way, there's one where there's a pill that supposedly the billionaires use or something like that. I don't know if all this stuff is real. I'm just looking at it, but like I don't know if you've heard of it. Where it's kind of like DCT. Like, do you think that there can be such thing as something that to enhance your mind, that way you could learn? You can learn languages like nothing, and you could increase your speed, you increase your performance, you increase your power, you can increase intelligence. Can there be something like this?
I believe I think anything's possible. You know, I mean, just imagine 100 years ago, people were like, it wasn't common for people to fly an airplane. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like we're 100 years since World War I. So look at all the advancements that took place in the last 100 years.
You're right, brother.
You know, there's going to come a time where people are going to look back and they're going to say, you know, there was a time in 2015 where people were talking about things that we're doing now. And back then, people didn't know that there was a cure for cancer. You know, people were dying of cancer. But now people don't die anymore. People are like reaching states of immortality. And people are traveling to Mars on a regular. They travel through a Stargate. And there's already colonies on Mars. Like people are just learning that this technology's always been there, but now it's just like, you know,
back then, science was considered magic. And this is one from the Wright brothers biography. This is from the Discovery Education cartoons, where you see like the lies, how these were.
People depend on me to tell them what is happening in the world of flight.
And they would try to over and over again to get the plane like for at least 29 or as long as it takes. All kinds of stuff they failed.
You're right.
And try to document that. It looks like they wouldn't succeed, but eventually they did.
You must be the Wright brothers. Welcome to France. I'm so sorry I have exceeded you in every way.
And eventually, they succeeded. They stayed for like 29 seconds, was it? And came down safely, intact. And there's even video footage back then, where black and white, obviously, where the plane would actually be flying. So like back then, or what about going to space? Where you're like, how can you actually go to space? It was thought of impossible as well. But then NASA went to space.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe science fiction. Yesterday's science fiction is today's science. But what if science fiction is really history science fact? You know, we look at TV shows like Star Trek and all the things that they're doing in that show. A lot of that technology is available now. You know, like if this world, which a lot of people believe is of a giant hologram, what happens if you know how to affect realities around you? It's like the Matrix, you know, and that's what I believe magic is. Magic is a super science. When people know how to use their higher mind, they know how to communicate with the spirit world better, they're going to be able to work with the unseen realms better. So really, as a spiritual warrior in this world, you know, I think back, you know, look at what Moses was doing back in the days. Look at what Jesus was doing back in the days. Now there's a prophecy of 144,000 enlightened beings doing the same thing to affect 7 billion people on this earth. So it's quite an incredible experience to walk this planet right now.
It's the best time to be alive right now.
It is. And it's probably the scariest time for the evil people that are trying to control us, because they know their time is ticking quick. You know what I mean? That's like the scariest thing for them. Imagine 7 billion people waking up realizing you're the ones that have been hurting them this whole time.
Oh. So
So
there'll be hell to
I mean
pay.
that's
And
yeah.
and by the way, I was thinking so not only the Wright brothers, but back then there was a cartoon called Selling Monsters, and the same thing applied to NASA, where where they were trying to go to the moon somehow, and they would think it's impossible, and they'll come out with all kinds of contraptions, but you could also see videos of NASA rockets trying to go, and then the rocket, as soon as it got like a bunch of feet in the air, it fell back down. So there's no way. And basically they try to make the rocket with a bunch of barrels and tires and a part of a bow. But there's no way that rocket will fly in general. So I'm saying NASA most likely tried to do this before, but there's no way the monsters didn't succeed. So most likely NASA had to go through that. How can you go to the moon? Is exactly. It was just seem something that's just crazy talk. 2, 1, blast off!
And it's interesting. We only see one side of the moon.
What?
We only see one side of the moon. Imagine what kind of life is on the moon. You know, a lot of people say there's cities inside the craters of the moon, and there's advanced life on the moon that is controlling life on Earth. It's like a giant satellite. There's a lot of
water in the moon too. That was found recently.
What's that?
There's a lot of water on the
moon. Oh yes, there's water on every planet. Even the sun. The sun has water too.
What?
Yeah, the sun has life. It's not in the form that we think, though. It's not third-dimensional life forms, but it's there's life on every planet.
Have water. Okay, I'm lost.
Well, there's hydrogen is definitely is one of those things that makes up the nuclear reaction on the sun. So there's there's a lot of things going on in the sun. When people understood what's really going on in the sun, they start to look at the sun it's almost like a portal. You know, one thing people understand is that water exists in all dimensions. Water behaves different from everything that science says should be true. You know, so water is like a crystal. Water is the messenger of God. People even believe water is God. So when people understand,
it's the most safest thing. It's how life forms. Like life cannot exist without water.
That's exactly true. Yeah, that's exactly true. And you know, so water, it holds information. Out of everything the water has ever experienced, it stores information of that. So it's really powerful to work with water.
And as far as besides being an energy healer, you're also a stuntman. Before that, I wanted you to elaborate on what does it mean to love yourself before you could love anybody else, etc. It's one of the stuff I didn't get. I've been told so many times that if you want to be in a good relationship, you gotta love yourself. What exactly does it mean, love yourself?
It means that you become whole. You know, because a lot of relationships in this world, they fail because it's almost like an energy battle. Somebody doesn't feel complete unless they're with somebody else. So later on, you know, if you're a complete person and you meet someone else who's a complete person, you're like two circles that come together and you make a sacred geometric pattern called the Vesica Pisces. So you learn how to complement each other's energies, you know, and that's the most important too. Is like you got to learn how to even be happy by yourself. Some people don't know how to be happy by themselves for a little while. They feel like, you know, this is an important thing. You gotta, you know, an alchemist. You know, if you ever heard the story of the alchemist is somebody that it's not they turn lead into gold. What they do is they remove all the impurities from themselves, and everything that they're around becomes like gold. So there's a story of this guy named Narcissus, and he drowned in a lake because he was looking at his reflection in the lake. And then the lake turned salty, and these angels were asking the lake, "Are you sad that Narcissus is gone?" And then the lake said, "Well, because I got a chance to see my own reflection through Narcissus' eyes, I learned to love myself." So that's what it means to love yourself. When you love yourself, then you can love the world around you. And that's what it means to be an alchemist in this world. Because the world is a vibration. You know, when we learn to tune into that vibration of unconditional love, we see that love is the only weapon against dark forces in this world. You know, that's how, you know, when you're doing, let's say you're performing an exorcism as a shaman and you're in a situation, I've been in situations where people get possessed. You can't be afraid in those situations. The demon will feed off the fear. You gotta project unconditional love. You gotta command these angels to work through you to heal that person. And that's the power, the vibration of unconditional love. Most people in this world, they only love conditional. They're like, "Oh, I only love you if you do this for me." They haven't mastered unconditional love, true compassion. Compassion leads to peace. You know, it's something that has been unprogrammed from a lot of people. You know, because a lot of people have been programmed to by different belief systems, different cultures, different things. So we got to see beyond that. We got to see ourselves in everything, and that's what it means to love yourself. Number one, somebody who truly loves themselves so much wouldn't want to inflict that on other people, right? So it's important to understand how that works, and how to when you love yourself, you also respect yourself too. You'll take care of your body. You'll put the right food in your body. You'll think positive. You'll wake up with a strong drive in your body. It's important to love yourself. When people watch TV or they're around certain types of programming, it tries to get you to think, oh, if you don't have this house, you don't have this car, if you don't make this kind of money, you're not of value to this world. You know what I mean? So that's why it's important to love yourself, because money comes and goes, but when you learn to take care of yourself, you have your health. Your health is your wealth, and without your health, nothing matters. We got to learn to see our health as a multidimensional thing too: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So when you have all those energy centers in the line, and you have lots of love flowing through you, when you have so much abundant love within you, you can heal people around you. You can heal the earth around you. You become a beacon of light. You're an activated light body will affect a lot of people. One enlightened person will affect 100,000 plus people on the planet. So yeah, it's really magical. I chose this life for a reason. It got to a point doing stunts in movies. I was like, okay, so I make money in stunts, and then I'm working in the next movie. There's got to be more to life than this. Sometimes I question, who are the happiest people in this world? Are they the people that work in the movie business, or are they the enlightened people? How do they live different? What do they think? What's the mission?
Yeah, the Uruguayan president. I don't know if you heard this story. He is a regular farmer, and he looks like the average poor farmer, but he chooses to be like that. They call him the most humble man in the world, Jose Mujica. And he's like, the Guardian calls him the most radical president, but he is in a farm. He lives in a farm just like any other guy. He's called the poorest president, but he just wants to enjoy his life. He works as a farmer. All he has is just one or two police cars that watch him. But he lives in a regular poor house, and he works as a farm. That's it. That's all he does. Mm-hmm. But they call him the most humble. But what other president do you think does that? Nobody else, to my knowledge.
Well, most presidents in this world, they're just presidents that represent corporations and banks. I truly believe this world needs a Jedi Council. And the Jedi Council to me is leaders who are the most compassionate and have the most wisdom. Not the leaders that can be easily bribed by the most money to do the most evil thing in this world. I look at that as like the Dark Jedi. They have temporary power that they think is going to get them to where they got to go. But that force, that fallen angel, Lucifer, will destroy them later on too. So it's a really big battle that's taking place on Earth. It's a battle where people who can remember who they are, where they came from, what their mission is, and how to become heart-centered and hold that frequency in the time that they're here are the champions of this galaxy. Because to evolve out of the illusion of this world, it takes a lot of incarnations for some people. Some people are new souls to this world. They never experienced what this kind of duality is like, to be so separated from the source, the universal source, the God source of the universe, and to experience that kind of separation to find its way back. So that's that's the way I would look at life on Earth. Is an opportunity for people to find their way back to source and to raise the vibration of the Earth. It's like, imagine as a council, you're looking into the Earth like it's inside a crystal container, like Men in Black. And, there's volunteers that are brave enough to go in there and make a change. Because whatever happens inside that crystal container affects everything on the outer realms. So it's a challenge, It's a challenge to look at how you can transmute negative energy. And that's why loving yourself is the best way to do that. Learning to even love yourself even when you have a scar on yourself. That's like being a warrior. A warrior to me is simply somebody who's brave, is not afraid, opens their heart to the whole world.
Wow.
Yeah.
And when I was on your site, and it looks like you were holding a actual crystal. Is that like I was thinking it was a prop or something? I don't know. Like, what is that crystal for exactly?
These are the most powerful super crystals. This is it's like a magic crystal one. These crystals will magnify what you're thinking. So if you're an energy healer and you're using a crystal like this and it's cut this kind of way, it will magnify your healing power and it'll shoot it out the crystal like a laser. So these are like, this is the wand of Merlin. This is like the wand of the alchemist's dream, the philosopher's stone. So some people who have a lot of energy and they use a crystal like this, they can actually alter physical matter with it. I use these crystals to heal people. I use it to also change the structure of water.
How would you actually heal somebody? Would you have to like touch them with the crystal?
Actually, I shoot a laser through the crystal. The energy comes out of my hands. It goes through the crystal. I just point the crystal a few inches away from their body, and I project a very strong laser through my hands, through the crystal, and it'll change a molecular structure inside their body. I work on people who have cancer, people with brain tumors. I just point the crystal close to the tumor, and I start projecting energy, and the tumor dissolves and disintegrates. And I do this to people with all sorts of health problems. Health problems that doctors can't fix because doctors these days are just modern. Most of them are modern.
They go by the book, but they don't actually think of really healing people. They're not taught like that. And you were even in Superhumans. Were you trying to move clouds?
Oh, I would have loved to do that. Back then in that show, Stanley Superhumans, I was just demonstrating some acrobatics. But ever since that show in 2011, I've unlocked other superpowers. I started learning how to work with different types of energies. There's a male energy called the chi energy, which works with the physical realm.
Oh,
some energy masters. I was
gonna ask, what's chi exactly? Like, there are a bunch of people, Shaolin monks, that use chi energy, and they could like, you could whack them with a bat and like in the solar plexus in the chest, and they won't feel it. The bat just vibrates, and they don't get harmed. How is that?
Chi energy is life force energy. And a lot of these monks, they meditate a lot. So when you meditate a lot, your chakras in your body spin faster. And they know how to cultivate their power. So they know how to project that energy into different parts of their body. Some of these masters can punch a candle about a foot away with their chi energy and knock it out. And they just know how to cultivate that energy. A lot of these guys, all they do is they train all the time. So I learned that the chi energy, like working with the physical realm, but the most powerful energy you can work with is the female energy, which connects you with the spirit realm. So when you learn how to connect with that female energy and you know how to connect with the spirit realm, you can control all the elements like the Avatar does. There's fire, earth, wind, water, and ether, which is a spirit. So I've always started to explore that. I was like, if you can start moving clouds with your energy moving out of your hands, what else can you move? Can you move fire? Can you move the waves of an ocean? Can you move the earth? And as somebody raises their vibration, there's something called the Kundalini rising, which is like an energy serpent that moves in from the base of your spine. And as it goes up your body, it makes all your chakras vibrate much faster. So some people who have a very powerful Kundalini experience, and then the third eye opens up, you can literally do like demigod kind of work. Like you can do some very powerful magic where you can affect huge weather. I go to California, I do this all the time on the mountain, and I use a crystal to magnify what I'm thinking. So because there's a drought in California and there's these chemtrails everywhere, I started pointing my crystals at the chemtrails, visualizing they would disappear, and I started projecting chi energy at them. And as I kept doing it, the chemtrails kept dispersing, and then the sky cleared up. And I kept doing this, and everybody's watching me. They're like, whoa, whatever you're doing is clearing up these chemtrails. So I kept doing it, and then eventually these helicopters, military helicopters, appeared. And then a bunch of fighter jets appeared, and everybody's freaking out, going, oh, man, the military's upset that somebody came here and is messing with their chemtrails. So I started laughing, going, good, I'm going to keep doing it. And I just kept doing it. And then I brought that energy with me from Mount Shasta after spending a week there. I went to LA last year, and I put the intention, like I want to bring a really big superstorm because they haven't had rain in a while. And I'm going to test out my powers like that. So I've done it about 5 times. And every time I go to California, and I spend just a few days to a week there, and I set my intention out, and I work with this energy and these crystals, it always brings a big storm. Not only California, I've tested in the Philippines. I do it here in Canada. Here in Toronto, there's like a polar vortex that's sweeping most of the East Coast. And Toronto hasn't been hit really hard by this polar vortex or these
it's really cold these temperatures, like some people say, it's like from the 1800s.
Exactly, but we haven't gotten hit by these severe storms like Buffalo, New York got hit by like 10 or 12 feet of snow. And back in 2013, there was an ice storm that hit Toronto and knocked out a lot of the power in the trees. They were hit by ice. So I started to think, is this weaponry that they're using to control the weather? Is this the same thing that affected Toronto?
Just like DARPA. I'm gonna not DARPA, HARP.
HARP, yeah. So what I started doing was I started testing my shamanic powers to counteract it using the crystals, and it always worked. So here I am in Toronto saying to people, like, I use these crystals to affect the weather. I can show you. If you want to see a big rainstorm, if you want to see a storm being stopped, we can do it. It's very easy.
You didn't get in trouble for this, though. Or they can't.
Well, I use it to counteract the powers of the Illuminati.
Yeah, but you're not in trouble for doing any of this stuff. Like, I guess it's hard to have evidence against you, I guess, because it all sounds so nuts. So
well, it's funny. It's a really funny situation. I mean, every time I go to the States, my phone doesn't work. It's being blocked, and I get people walk up to me and they're like, the CIA is watching you. And I'm like, yeah, I'm watching them. And they're like, aren't you afraid of them? I'm like, nope, they're afraid of me. And I'm going to keep doing it. And they're like, how come you're not afraid? Because I go, I'm working with Archangel Michael. I'm protected. I can speak my truth. These little cowards, the Illuminati, Freemasons, those little guys are going to get crushed. And people need to know that. We outnumber them. And they think they can just use fear to control us. Their fear game is running quick. So when you get used to battling demons, you learn how to keep your vibration strong. You know how to protect yourself from these forces. A lot of people who live in fear, they attract negative things in their reality. So it's a really powerful time for people to experience what it's like to become a superhuman and to unlock these gifts. But to unlock these gifts, you got to know who you are. You got to love yourself. You got to raise your vibration every day. Everybody's made different. And if everyone knew the power of their thoughts, people wouldn't waste their time thinking negative. So I think it's a really beautiful time.
Is there video footage of you supposedly moving clouds with how do you move your clouds? With your crystal, holding it up to the crystal to the sky, or trying to make it?
Yeah, I have some videos when I was just learning how to do it. But yeah, I'd like to get a film crew to come out with me and watch it. It's a lot of fun, to be honest. Like I charge up the crystal. This is what I do. I aim the crystal into my opposite hand, and I take a deep breath through my nose, and I call on Archangel Michael. I'll say it out loud like this. Anybody can do this. You can move your hands close together and you can feel your aura. But I'll say out loud, I'll say, Archangel Michael, increase my flow. And I'll add a number, 144,000 times. And I'll measure the light going through the crystal. I can feel Archangel Michael's presence. And then I'll even say out loud, I'll say, Archangel Michael, place your sword over my sword, which is my crystal wand, and he'll charge up the crystal. I can feel the energy rushing through. As I feel that presence around me, I'll say out loud, thank you, Archangel Michael, because the more thankful you are, the more abundant you become. And then I'll project this energy at the sky. And I can use whatever I'm thinking, I can project a laser through the crystal. I like to use this energy called the violet flame, and I use that energy through the spoken word. And I'll even say it out right now. It's really simple. It's using affirmations. So it goes, I am the violet flame in action in me now. I am the violet flame in light of now. I am the violet flame in mighty cosmic power. I am the light of God shining every hour. I am the violet flame blazing like a sun. I am God's sacred power freeing everyone. And if you say it like you're singing it, you will amplify your intentions. And when you're using a crystal, it'll magnify it too. So there's different ways of magnifying it. And then when I'm in California, I'll be on the mountain. I'll say the same thing. I'll be blasting those chemtrails away like that. And then I'll put the command out there while pointing in different directions. I'll say, God, give California rain. I'll take a nice deep breath and I'll point the wand in all directions that I want the rainstorms to form. And I get really creative. The more creative I get, projecting that light through the crystal, the more variations of storms that will appear. So yeah, I love to show people. This is my favorite thing to work with. I mean, I'm just scratching the surface now. Imagine what else you could do with this power. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's these videos. Joe Eigo using chi to move clouds. Joe Eigo playing with energy. And this one.
Multi-level moves. Multi-level to a new dimension of ascension.
It looks like you're trying to move clouds.
Look at that cloud. It stands out different, eh? Look. Yeah. To the right there.
Tell you. It's a real trip. You feel a rush going through your body. It's incredible. And that's how you stay young. You know, people who work with energy, like a river, the energy keeps flowing through them. You know, if the energy is stagnant in your body, you get sick, you get old, you die, you know. So it's important to keep this energy flowing through you. So, yeah, it's a lot of fun playing with the universe. You know, when you play with the universe, it's like a child playing with a ball. And that's great. Definitely. You know, this all started in 2011. After my spiritual awakening in 2010. 2011, I'd go out with my buddies and I say, you guys want to see some UFOs? And they're like, yeah. Okay, let's go. I at least ask for permission. As soon as I ask for permission, I start meditating and I start calling them out. And as everybody's open to it, these light ships will appear everywhere. I've been taking friends all over the world
to see them.
You coming? What's that?
Yeah, you should have video.
Okay, we're gonna start channeling some energy here. So, you guys want to see more of that? Let's do it. We're gonna use the power of belief right now. Let's do it.
We're trying to like move water or something. Play with energy. Were you trying to move water or something?
What? That's a lot of fun moving water. Water is a really beautiful element to play with. I mean, I even ask my friends, I'll take a can of pop, and before we open it, I'll shoot a laser into it with the crystal, and I'll change the structure of the little pop inside the can. So by the time you open it, if I put a lot of energy into the pop, a lot of the bubbles will not be as much, or they'll be all gone, and then the pop will taste completely different. So I tell people, like, what I do to a can of pop, I can do to your body. I can rearrange the molecules and make it better. And the crystal, because it takes light that you can't see, that light will go through solid matter. And it'll go right through walls. It'll go thousands of miles away and affect things. So, you know, when you're holding a supercrystal and you get really playful with it and you start blasting lasers out of it, it's incredible the kind of stuff that happens.
You have to document this somehow if you can do such thing.
I would love to show people. This is why I'm here in Toronto promoting this, because any chance I can go and meet people in person and show them, it's more fun. You know, especially if you start healing people. People have chronic pain in their body, depression, and energies that are unwanted. When you're in a ceremony and you're pulling these energies out of their body and it gets stuck inside the crystal, it's like performing psychic surgery. It's really incredible. You can feel the energy. It's like, and it comes from just practicing every day. You practice with this energy. So, hey, you never know what kind of people will be inspired to work with this energy one day. You know, it's when you learn to work with angels, they always got your back. When you learn to work with a crystal, they'll magnify what you do. If you learn how to even make yourself like a crystal, meaning you open all the energy in your body, you let the light flow through you, you're going to eat foods that have a high frequency inside of it.
Yeah, what is this about? Well, actually, this video is actually something about beyond gravity.
Over the years. And I enjoy training and studying different types all the time.
Obviously, with your aerial vortex backflip. But what is this about? What is it?
I was over.
What was that? Damn, I can't think of it right now. But you something about beyond gravity. What's your?
Always interested in film.
About this video.
Oh, that was back in 2000.
I started as a young kid, and a lot of the training that I saw when I was watching these movies.
We're fans of Jackie Chan,
into my training, and
I just said, like, I like to show people,
as I got older.
This is what you can do with your physical body. What else can you do with your mind? You know, to look at a triangle, a pyramid. You got to master your physical, mental, and emotional and spiritual body, so that when you have that perfect trinity, you're going to have a balance of energy flowing through you. So it's fun, you know, when people learn to train and flip, and they defy the forces of gravity. That's like playing with the force of nature. You can also use that power to manipulate things around you.
Wow. Oh, by the way, you work with Jackie Chan as one of his stuntmen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that like exactly? That like I've heard of Jackie Chan. I never actually met him, but
it was incredible. He's very real. it was like deja vu the entire time when I first met him too. It was just like we knew each other from many past lives. It just felt like that. And you know, you feel so close when you're working with him because he treats everybody so special. He like makes people feel really important. You know, like you're part of his family. And I thought that was really important. You know, I meet a lot of celebrities out there, and a lot of celebrities they're very different in person. You know, Jackie Chan to me is like Jesus Christ because his initials is like the same thing, and he really knows how to treat people well, and he gives a lot. So I always was inspired to walk in his footsteps in the way that I could in my own unique way. And you know, I really enjoyed just getting a chance to get to work on the film that called Around the World in 80 Days. We literally traveled the world, and I got a chance to meet his you know, his team, and it was beautiful experience. You know, I truly believe everybody's a stunt person that comes to this planet. And I've always wanted to do something different. You know, in my life as a child, I was like, you know, there's a lot of people out there that are like in movies. There's a lot of people out there that do this kind of job or that kind of job. I want to do something a little different to inspire people. And that's where I've always felt like using my imagination to write myself as a superhero when I was 13. And that superhero is a superhero that works with crystals and is bringing back lost information from Atlantis. To show people like what happens when you raise your vibration so high using a super crystal. You can do magical things. Imagine a lot of kids watching something like that, and they're like, you know, I thought Harry Potter was just a movie, but it seems like there's some real magicians out there that know how to work with energy.
Oh yeah, before I get to that, what I was trying to ask before, do you know anything about like frequencies in your body? I heard like you might be able to using electricity or some kind of shock, like the Bobek protocol. I don't know if you heard of it. I've been told off air that it's all about matching the frequencies to your body, a certain part of your body, and you can actually get rid of all kinds of diseases. I don't know if you've heard of that. But how is that?
Well, health is a natural frequency where it's supposed to be. When you're feeling sick, the frequency in your body is just not balanced, right? Oh. And what crystals can do is they can balance out that frequency. So, I mean, there was a guy who created a technology that can destroy cancer, and his name was Royal Rife. He created like a frequency machine that plugs you up and tunes your body to the right frequency. So people with stage 4 cancer, he healed them with this technology. And then there's another guy whose name is Wilhelm Reich, and he created something called organite, which is a bunch of metal shavings inside a pyramid with coils and gold and a crystal. And what the crystal would do is, or what the metal would do is, it'd suck up all the negative energy. It'd go through the coils. It'd go right up the pyramid to the crystal at the top of the pyramid, and change that negative energy into a positive energy. So he'd make like a crystal chamber for people.
Orgone energy.
And what's that?
It's something about orgone energy.
Yeah, orgone energy. And when these people were in these orgone chambers with cancer, they started healing much faster. And they arrested this guy in the 50s because they said, oh, you think you can go around healing cancer? Sorry about that. We're going to arrest you right now. So they got rid of him like that. But, you know, he used crystals in his technologies too. So if that's just the power of crystal healing right there, imagine what happens if people know how to use a crystal wand. You know, a crystal wand that's cut with very powerful angles that can bend unseen energy. I mean, these Vogel crystals that I work with, some of them are about 7,500 US to 10,000. The smallest one I have is about 3,000. And I invested whatever I made in the movies into these crystals because I believe these are the most powerful crystals you can use for safeguarding humanity. You know, when people get really good at using a crystal like this, there's some really crazy things that can happen. You know, so I always get inspired by doing something a little different, you know, because as a professional stuntman, you better learn how to heal yourself or you can't work. So, you know, learning crystal healing has really changed my whole perception on working with energy. So I dedicated my life to working with energy and working with crystals and inspiring people in a way that they can go out there and try it out at some level. You know, some people, if they want to take their training to the next level, they will come out to Mount Shasta. They will learn how to raise their vibration to such a high degree, you know, and it takes discipline to do that. But I'm definitely excited to share that story with people and to inspire more people to do the same.
Wow. And but what's your perspective? If some people like say that some of these are quacks, you know, I think there's a bunch of these that are legit, I'm not gonna say that there's a cure, but they are helping people out, and there's documented. It's like the Hoxie and the Gerson clinic. They're in Mexico. They're actually, and the MMS is also, it's helping people. You know, they go after people that they claim it's killing somebody, but there's no evidence that shows that they're dying from MMS or Hoxie or Gerson clinic. There's a bunch of evidence that people are dying from the big pharma.
There is. Well, when people look at this and they think it's a little weird, I say, hey, it's okay to think that way. Because even just 50 years ago, people used to think acupuncture was weird. People used to even think yoga was weird.
Yeah.
So look at all the people now who are doing that.
What exactly does that do? Yoga and acupuncture. I wish I could try it one day, but I've heard yoga is pretty good. But as far as like meditating, I feel like I would fall asleep, and I feel like it wouldn't do much.
Well, if you start off with like even meditating for 5 minutes, and you get used to doing that for a couple of days, you'll feel differences in your energy field. You know, if people can even challenge themselves to sit still, sit up straight, and to open their hands in a way to receive energy, they will feel better inside their bodies. You know, it's like allowing the universal current of the universe to flow through all your chakras, because your chakras look like little funnels of energy, pulling energy into your body. And if you have all the chakras open, when you do yoga and different practices like meditation, you don't even need to eat that much food. You'll be so abundant with energy. So it's incredible when people understand how energies work. You know, a lot of people, they don't see air, but they know it's there. It's like a lot of people may not even see aura fields, but as they start to raise their vibration, they will. You know, so this is why I was inspired. You know, I would meet different energy masters in California, and these guys are like in their 70s, but they look really young. I go, well, how do you stay young? They say, oh, I meditate, I do Reiki, which is a form of spiritual healing. And I was like, wow, that makes a difference. And plus, they drink really good water. You know, water. If you drink really good water with the right structures in it, you will heal faster. So, yeah, there's a lot of things I'm always impressed by. You know, and I'm always curious how these people do it. So I've always experimented on myself before I even tell people, you know, these things. You know, I can say, look, I've experienced this myself. It may sound a little bit far out there. If it's something that's open to you, maybe you can try it too. What's that?
Truth is always stranger than fiction.
Yeah, like I have some friends that message me on the internet. They're like, you know, they stopped drinking alcohol for a month, and they bought themselves a crystal called Moldavite, and they started wearing it, and they already feel very different. And I said, well, you bought a very powerful crystal to start with, and you start detoxing yourself from alcohol. You're totally going to start to experience a new vibration. Your third eye will probably start to awaken. You know, and people around me are like, you know, they start to try different things. You know, sometimes it may take a while. Like for me, I'll tell you, I'll be honest. When I was a kid, I had all these spiritual people say to me, you know, you don't remember who you are, but you need to practice meditation, and then you'll remember. And I said to them, I don't need to meditate. That's for old people. I can jump and flip like a monkey, and these people wish they could jump and flip like a monkey, but they're not. They just need to meditate. So I tell these people, you know, for me to learn how to meditate, it took many years. You know, I had to see somebody that suggested to me. She was a psychic. She said, you should learn meditation. It's one of those things that's going to help you learn Reiki. And, you know, eventually I learned it, and it opened me up to new energies. I started to think it's really cool to walk around and have energy shooting out of your fingertips, and that energy can be used to heal people. How do you make this energy stronger? What happens if it's stronger? And then I went on the internet, and I saw people doing powerful things with their energy. I was like, wow, this guy lit paper on fire with his energy. How did he do that? And then this guy's like, I'm not special. Bless you. I'm not special, he says. I just meditate 4 hours a day. I was like, whoa, 4 hours a day? Oh, man. And then I learned from these energy masters what else they do. And I was like, I'm on the phone, Mom.
Still live with your mother. So it's possible that if you can actually get the diseases, somehow heal the diseases, you can actually heal something like in an instant on the best circumstance?
Yeah, you'd be surprised. I mean, I've worked on a bunch of different people, and you know what really helps accelerate the healing is the person who's receiving the healing. People who receive the healing and they're very open to it, they will receive a lot of healing. You know, so, you know, there's sometimes, you know, when you have a lot of energy, that person is a very open receiving mode. The healing will happen very quickly. Like I worked on this lady. She goes, what is that you're holding in your hand? I said, oh, Crystal, I used to heal people. And she goes, I want you to try it on my head. I have something in my head, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. And when I was working on her, she felt this heat, and then she felt like something draining in her head. She goes, I don't know what's going on, but I know it's working. And I'm going to go get an MRI scan, and I'll call you in a week to tell you what happened. And she calls me a week later. She goes, yeah, you know, whatever you did, I had like a little tumor in my brain, and this tumor completely disappeared. The doctor doesn't know what happened. The doctor's thinking there must be a problem in the machine. And so she worked for a big pharma company. As soon as she got cancer in her brain, she goes, I need to find an alternative way to heal myself, because she knows that people who work for big pharma, they just prescribe all these drugs that kill people. So we bumped into each other, and that's what happened. So that's just one example. I've been doing this on a bunch of other people. So I'm just excited to share this technology with the world. Imagine a whole bunch of people using this technology on other people. You know, this would inspire a whole movement of people to look at healing in a totally different way. Well, and I think that's really important, you know, because if people knew that they can become like a energy generator to affect people around them, you know, that's going to inspire more people to think different. You know, I believe that's an important thing to do. One person with a lot of energy can inspire a lot of people to do it. So healing is evolution. You know, when we learn to heal ourselves properly, we can evolve to a higher understanding of who we are. And it's hard to think this way if we feel all these blockages in our body. Even if you're in a toxic relationship where you feel energetically tired all the time, you know, sometimes we need to get away from that just so we can recharge ourselves, to see that maybe that person that is like an energy vampire maybe needs more extra love or healing for themselves, right? So I believe everyone has the power to heal themselves, but sometimes we need extra help, you know, extra help from other worlds, extra help from people who have greater skills to offer.
Well, so what exactly does acupuncture do? I heard it's pretty good, but I just never tried it myself.
Well, the body is like a computer, and when you use acupuncture and you open up certain energy channels in your body, they're called meridians, it allows the life force, which is called chi, to flow through the body faster to accelerate healing. So there's different places on the earth that have acupuncture points too, because the earth is alive like us. And these acupuncture points can also be used to pull energy into them. It's like a needle that can pull energy from the unseen realms to go directly into the energy meridians in your body. So, I mean, I've had some injuries and I did acupuncture, and I was really shocked how fast it accelerated my healing. You know, so there's really interesting ways to look at the body. The body is literally like a living computer system.
Wow. And so, what does it take to be a stuntman? Because that's like a lot of work, especially what you've done with LazyTown and doing the role of Sporticus, and also he himself, the creator of LazyTown, is also a stuntman. So, how can you be a stuntman? Like that'd be awesome. I wish I could get into gymnastics and all that. But like,
you need a really good demo reel, and not only do you need a really good demo reel, you need to know people in the business, because I'll be honest, the business is filled with a lot of people who are trying to get work. And if you're a threat to them trying to get their job, you know, they're not going to let you in. So it's a very competitive kind of industry to get into, you know. So it's always like that in a lot of businesses out there, especially film. It's who you know. And if you have a really good demo reel and these people believe in you, they will support you in what they do.
Well,
yeah.
So what exactly is your thought on like religion? Are you like affiliated to any religion, at least the established religion, or?
Oh, that's one of my favorite topics out there. I believe religion is for people who are afraid to go to hell, and spirituality is for people who have already been to hell and don't want to suffer no more. So I look at all religions. They all have some sort of truth, but in the end, religion to me is like racism. You know, it's like my religion versus your religion. And that's why I see religion right now is like they're trying to start World War III using a religion. That's why they created ISIS and the CIA and or Mossad, the state of Israel, the Zionists. They created this like terror attacks to make it look like, you know, blaming all the Muslims, make them look like terrorists. I mean, I was raised a Roman Catholic, and you know, I believe there's a lot of interesting truth in there. But, you know, even in that religion, they try to make it seem like if you're not Roman Catholic, you're going to hell. And I was like, that's not fair, because I know a lot of people who are not Roman Catholic, and they're really great people. So I started to study all these different religions. I said, what's true about all of them? What are they all trying to teach? And then I started questioning. I'm like, how can they suppress women? All these major religions. Is there something powerful that women have? And I started to get deeper and deeper into it. And I started to see, oh, this is all an agenda to control people. And this is an agenda to keep people divided. This is an agenda because the people who are in the religious order, who are in high levels of power, they work with the different kinds of governments out there. Like I look at the Vatican as being a giant like mafia. You know, they hide all the ancient relics of the old world. And, you know, they worship the devil. You know, like I'll tell people straight up, I don't mean to offend people, but the people at the high levels of power in like the Vatican, they're like pedophiles. They have demons inside them and they rape children. You know, I mean, it's you hear about this all the time. You know, this is you look at these major religions, they're all male dominated for a reason. You know, because they don't want people to look for power inside themselves. They want people to look externally. And I used to always think, why are we giving all our money to the Vatican? There's like all these countries that are poor, all these kids that are starving,
the same
and the
reason
Vatican.
We give our money to the Federal Reserve because they're just looting the country. They're hijacking the country. They're gonna escape, God knows where, when all hell breaks loose. And for 100 years, they've been looting the country. So it's the same reason. It's not really to help people, because you know they say like, oh, they blab about they care about the environment, but if there's anything that you introduce like clean energy or any form of clean energy, they'll be like, no. So it's just an illusion people have. It's just stupid. I've talked to people off air that are like, oh, I have this invention. I've talked to an inventor recently. I have this invention that can actually lead to zero pollution when it has to do with water and it has to do with gasoline and all that. And BP would say no.
Well, like, I want to jump in there really quick, but I believe the biggest religion in this world right now, it's the religion of money. And I look at that as like, you know, we can live in a world without that kind of slavery. But that's what I believe is going on. And that's why, you know, we see proof of it today. You know, we see what they're trying to manipulate on the news with all the people watching it, you know?
People are easily brainwashed. That's the problem. You have to break their spell. People are easily brainwashed. You have to break their spell somehow.
Yeah, it takes a lot of skill to do that. You know, I love it when Jehovah's Witnesses knock on my door. Like I tell them, come on in, I want to talk to you guys. You know, I'm one of the 144,000 enlightened beings on this planet. I'm here to I want to share a story about these crystals in Atlantis and all these different things about astrology. And in their minds, a lot of them are just closed-minded. Like they only came to tell me what they have to say. They don't want to believe anything else. And I say, can you tell me what you believe about this and this and that? I want to hear it. You know, like, is it only written in the Bible? Like, what existed before the Bible?
Yeah, I don't think even Jesus would go out there and judge people. I don't think he was that kind of guy.
Yeah, well, you know, it's interesting. Like I said before, the name Jesus is actually Je suis, which means I am. Jesus' real name was Yeshua, you know, and, you know, back then, what he was doing seemed like a new age kind of thing, you know, because he was doing things a little different than what the system was all about, you know. So I'm really inspired by those kind of religious figures because they're the ones that made history. You know, we look at, like, I often think, what would Jesus do right now? You know, he would be doing exorcisms, healings on people. He'd be going out there speaking the truth, you know. He'd be like a revolutionary, you know. He'd be out there telling people, you know what? The kingdom of God is inside you. It's not these churches and these, like, you know, these buildings. Your body is your temple. You know, if you take care of your body, you know, like he even says, it was quoted saying, when your two eyes become one eye, your body is filled with light. So that really means is that when you open your third eye, your body will be filled with crazy amount of energy. So it's you know, it's really interesting how even in there's different religions, they show a lot of mushroom symbology. I look at the Roman Catholic Church, the Pope looks like a giant mushroom. Even the cardinals, like the communion, I look at these different religions, they look like they're wearing a mushroom cap on their head. Maybe there's something sacred about mushrooms that people just don't know about, you know? Maybe I believe there's more spirituality in magic mushrooms than all the religions combined. You know, so, you know, shamans have been doing this stuff for eons, and then these religions come up in the last couple of thousand years. There's something going on a little fishy trying to manipulate people, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. By the way, besides being an actor, it's also very competitive, etc. But like the same goes for a singer and any other career, and even especially in Hollywood, it's very like, I don't know if you've been. I think you've been to Hollywood. So what exactly would Hollywood be like?
I'll be honest. I believe the whole film business is like in Hollywood, it's like a high-class prostitute ring. That's what I believe, you know, because even the name Hollywood comes from the holly tree, and the holly tree was a tree that the ancient Druids would use to make magic wands. So I look at Hollywood as being like a giant illusion business to manipulate people, and it's owned by the Zionists. These Zionists are manipulating the world to turn against everyone else.
He protested against Zionists, and they would threaten his name to be removed from the Walk of Fame, but then fearing the public outlash. Yeah, one guy, what was his name? The Walk of Fame, and if he fearing a public outlash, they would actually just they would refrain from removing his Marlon Brando was the name, and and he would speak out, and then the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce refuses to take his name out the Walk of Fame because they don't want public outlash. And there was one quote that says, "Yeah, the Jews run Hollywood," which was the guy that said that.
Yeah, it's not all the Jews. It's just a specific group, the Zionists. They have like
Zionist. We're not talking about religion, etc. I had Rabbi Weiss on, and he hates Zionism, and he's Jewish through and through.
Yes. Well, there was this one rabbi that passed away at like 108, and he said, he wrote on a piece of paper, he goes, "When I pass on, I want to write the name of the Messiah on the piece of paper." And then a year after he passed away, they open the paper and it says the name Jesus. And all these like Orthodox Jews are like, "What the heck? How could that be?" And he said in one of his prophecies before the state of Israel was created, he says, when this guy Ariel Sharon passes away, they're going to start World War III. So he passed away this year on January 11th. And on January 15th, they staged that stupid shooting in Paris, that false flag attack. That was so fake. It was like a bad Hollywood movie. You know what I mean?
Wait, does that remind you of Sandy Hook?
Yeah, the same actors from Sandy Hook, Boston Bombing, all these bad, lousy actors that betray humans, they just keep participating in these like evil, sinister, mind-controlling manipulation
you have people giving you guilt trips, etc. One woman that was in Sandy Hook, she looks like she was crying. The same exact expression appeared at the Boston Bombing in Aurora. I mean, come on. Yeah. I'm not stupid, you know?
I know, it's for an intelligent person watching the news, they're like, how can people still be dumb?
Green screen, Anderson's nose disappearing. Come on.
Yeah, look at the green screen. Yeah, the green screen when they're trying to cut people's heads off. It's all done in a studio.
What about the beheadings in the ISIS videos?
Hey, you know what? I believe some of them are like in green screens, but you know, there's a lot of funny things that they do in Hollywood. You'd be surprised, you know, like the special effects they use.
Yeah, and besides the green screen, yeah, it would be used in some of the ISIS beheadings, and you would see like sometimes it looks like somebody else trying to portray the man. There's one theory, just a theory about a woman that, and I think it was Foley. And it was actually a theory that some woman actually dressed up like Foley because it had different feet, etc., and the ankles and the way it looked.
Oh, wow.
Or something like that.
Yeah, most definitely.
And the ISIS has all. If you see the intro of the ISIS videos, they're more sophisticated, like what CIA would do or any other agency. It all looks like very high tech intros. It looks like something from the future.
For sure. I mean, look at Osama bin Laden. You know, he was buddies with the Bushes. You know, like he was the hide and seek champion. You know, they couldn't see his body. They threw it in the ocean, and then the guys that killed him, their helicopter mysteriously just just crashed. I mean, look at 9/11, Building 7. How did that break up? You know, there's even videos of when the World Trade Center is breaking and there's smoke coming out. You can see the faces of demons in the smoke.
And this is a video from Fox News. Fox News surprisingly revealed this video. And if you look at the intro of how this is from ISIS, you're like, why is it so sophisticated? Al CIA all over the place. You have the intros, but like it looks as if some agencies like funding these groups. You know, like مجاهدين وقتل اللقاد. And I don't get how these videos are like so. It's like the intro itself is like very suspicious. Like, I'm not sure.
Well, the truth is, I mean, if you control the media, it's like you control the world because you can convince anybody with the media. You know, like look how many people knew about 9/11 around the world after it happened. You know, everybody in the world heard about it within 11 minutes.
Some people knew it before that, and nobody, you know. And it's like you know, nobody would listen. And Dick Cheney told Nora to stand down. So, by the way, you were talking about some prophecies besides in the beginning and something about a polar vortex. Is this all like some kind of prophecy is supposed to happen? What do you think?
Yeah, I believe when the Earth is dying, the Rainbow Warrior prophecy talks about there would be a bunch of healers heal the Earth, working with powerful energies. You know, like how can you heal the Earth if you yourself are not healed? You know what I mean? So these people, you know, they know how to work with the energies. They know how to go to sacred sites when the Earth is dying, and they know how to stop the chemtrails. I mean, I'm showing people proof. You know, I use these crystal wands. I'm pointing them at the sky, and I'm affecting the chemtrails everywhere I go around the world.
You have to have footage of this stuff, and you have to have like well-credited scientists, psychologists, etc. around when this actually takes place, Joe, and good bodyguards too. But you would have to have all of this, you know, that way people can actually take this seriously.
Well, yeah, you know, it's gonna spread. You know, I've been on Facebook a lot, and it's saying to people, you know, when was the last time it rained hard in California? Well, I'm gonna go there right now. I'm going to spend my own money to go there. I would appreciate donations sent to my Gmail account, joeigo@gmail.com, through PayPal.
This.
But if, you know, I'm going to go down there. I'm going to bring a storm. Every time I go, it works. It doesn't fail.
You gotta put a video camera on this. You know, do you have a camera at home? Don't forget to take it.
Yeah, I'd like to get a film crew. But, you know, the first storm, it took about 8 days because when I first went through Mount Shasta, all the lakes were dried up. There was forest fires everywhere. And I'm working against chemtrail technologies, you know, like they're spraying every time a big storm cloud comes in, they keep spraying it, and then the cloud disappears. So I had to spend like 8 days in the beginning conjuring up a storm. And then when this first storm came in, it knocked out a lot of the fire, but then multiple storms came in after, and then eventually all the snow came back on the mountain. The mountain was completely bone dry when I first got there. And then by the time I left at the end of September, there was snow on it. And I also captured footage when I was there. I captured footage of these spiritual beings appearing. And these are the beings that live inside the mountain called, there's a city in there called Telos. And so they appeared on the road. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. You know, I invite people to come and experience this kind of rush. You know, right now I'm just raising funds to get back out there. If I was there right now, I'd be doing a lot of rain magic. But in the meantime, while I'm still raising funds, offering my healings to people, I do long-distance healing work on Skype, or I do treatments with people in person, or I do seminars. I'm just working my way here in Toronto, sharing this technology with the world and telling the story of the Rainbow Warriors, because, you know, we have to look at this world right now. This world continues the way it is right now. Self-destruction. I mean, look what they're doing in the water. Nestle believes they own all the water in the world. So they're draining the water dry in California, even in Vancouver. You know, like it's an emergency. Millions of people's lives are in danger. And yet nobody's doing anything to stop these chemtrails. There's people that know about the chemtrails, but they do nothing to stop it. I said, yeah, you can tell the government all you want that there's chemtrails. They're not going to stop it. They're going to keep spraying it. You know? But you got to actively go out there with these super crystals and do something about it. So it gets people to think, you know what? If I have extra energy and money, I'd like to be part of something like that. I could donate to a cause like that. Why not?
You know, there's people that donate to all footage and well-documented stuff, and you have to bring the media too. You cannot be low profile. That's the problem that happens to these inventions. These people are low profile, and hardly the world knows anything. And if something were to happen to these inventors, it's as if nothing happened. So be safe and watch your back.
It takes a long time for people to wake up. You know, I mean, we look at the condition of California right now. There's like, you know, it's getting drier. I'm like, you know, so it may take time for people to wake up. But in the meantime, I'm doing my best where I'm at to do what I do. And I like to show people. I said, look, I mean, you may not be able to meet me in person, but I can still send you energy from where I am. I can get on the phone with you. I can tune into your energy and direct a strong current through the crystal that can affect you from a distance.
Yeah. Please try that. See if it works. Cause I wanna check this out.
I would love to do that with you. I'd love to do that with you. I could try it right now on the radio, but I mean, yeah, I can do that right now if you want to try it out.
Would that take very long?
I do exactly what I did earlier. It may take 1 or 2 minutes. I just tune into your energy and I pulse my breath and I say the violet flame and I command these angels to work and go towards you. So I like to do that on an individual basis. It's just something, but I could do it right now. It doesn't take long, but it's up to you. Whatever you feel comfortable.
If you want to.
Yeah, we could try it out right now. Let me know when you're ready. You just get into a comfortable position. Just get into this position where you're just receiving energy. And when you're ready, just let me know and I'll tune into you and I'll project energy at you.
So, okay, but what am I supposed to feel? Am I supposed to feel some kind of like being dizzy or something?
You know what? You may. Some people feel a wave going through their body. Some people feel like tingle. So we can try it right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. And people just call you Chris, right?
Yeah.
Okay, here goes. Okay. Yep. Light of God surrounds me, love God enfolds me. Power God protects me, praise God watches over me. Wherever I am, God is, and all's well. Archangel Michael, increase my flow 144,000 times. Archangel Michael, place your sword over my sword. Thank you, Archangel Michael. Yep. I am the Lord Flame and action me now. I am the Lord Flame and let it bow. I am the Lord Flame, mighty cosmic power. I am the Lord of God, shining everywhere. I am the Lord Flame, blazing like a sun. I am God's sacred power, freeing everyone. I am the violet fire, I am the purity God desires. Yes! I am the violet fire, I am the purity God desires. Yep! I am the violet fire, I am the purity God desires. Yep! God give Chris his own unconditional love. Yep! God give Chris his own unconditional love. Yep. God give Chris his own unconditional love. Yep. Sorry, I love you. Forgive me. Thank you. Yep. Archangel Raphael, increase my flow 144,000 times. Thank you, Archangel Raphael. I am the Lord Flame and action me now. I am the Lord Flame and let it bow. I am the Lord Flame, mighty cosmic power. I am the Lord of God, shining everywhere. I am the Lord Flame, blazing like a sun. I am God's sacred power, freeing everyone. I am the violet fire. I am the purity God desires. I am the violet fire. I am the purity God desires. Yep. I am the violet fire, I am the purity God desires. All right. Whew. How you doing over there?
I don't think I felt anything change.
Oh wow. Okay.
That's really,
well, that's a little weird.
What are you supposed to feel exactly?
Well, if you're in a very receptive vibration, may feel like a slight little wave going through your body. I mean, I usually do this one-on-one with people, but since we're on the radio, who knows? Maybe the energy is dispersing to different people listening in. But yeah, I was tuning into your energy, and there's times where I was coughing. I was clearing up some energies that were around you. So yeah, that's what I do. It only takes like a few minutes, but the more I do it, the more deeper I can connect with somebody's energy.
Yeah, so I've been testing off air. By the way, it almost like to many skeptics out there, it almost seems like you were like all acting like this. I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about anybody who's listening. They will think you're nuts. Like what?
I love it when people think I'm nuts. I think normal is a little boring. You know, it's the crazy people that change the world. You know, and you got to think outside the system. You got to think outside the box. And it's good. It's good to question it. You know, I used to think long distance healing was a little bit of a hoax. And then I experienced it myself. So, you know, some people, you know, they may feel the frequencies very easily because they're more in tune with it. You know, they're more in a receptive mode. But yeah, it's good to be a little skeptical once in a while. I was the biggest skeptic. You know, for me, if I went back in time 4 years ago and I said I'd be spending thousands of dollars on crystals, I'd be like, "Phew, that sounds a little far out there." You know, like what happened? Did you fall off a motorcycle and go crazy? So.
You had an accident and you healed yourself. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I had an accident where I smashed my head in the ground and I was bleeding inside my head. And I went to the hospital and I said, "Can you scan my head? I feel like I smashed my head on the ground right off a bike, you know, electric bike." And they just said, "Well, just come back tomorrow if you have a headache." And I said, "Well, people who go to sleep after an accident like that, they don't wake up." So I took matters into my own hands. I started meditating with crystals in my hands just to tune into the energy from the crystal to magnify my thoughts of healing. And in a short time, I healed myself. And after that, I dedicated myself to getting the most powerful crystals on the planet. You know, I feel like healing is the most important thing, you know, because, you know, as a professional stunt guy, you get to a point where, like, am I going to do stunts my whole life? I want to do something a little different, you know, even if it's something that sounds a little bit far out there and crazy. I want to try something different.
It reminds me of parkour. Like, I know some people that are doing it, and it all seems like a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun, but you know what? You'd be surprised. There's people who watch that stuff and they have no experience and they try it without any help and they get really messed up from it. You know, you gotta be a little bit smart when you're learning these techniques. I mean, some people can get lucky; they can go to a playground and pull off a flip off a slide or something. But you gotta be careful sometimes. You know, like the game of life. You run out of health, it's game over. You know, and you know, I watch a lot of these videos. You know, sometimes they're just a little bit too extreme. You know, like jumping off the edge of a building. You know, like you gotta be careful. Some people get really excited. They try it. You just gotta know your limits once in a while and just be calculating about it. It gets to a point where you do the biggest flip in the world and you do all these crazy flips, and then later on you're just feeding your ego. Like how many times you have to prove to people that you can do these flips, you know? So for me, I get excited about flipping consciousness on this planet. I get excited about teaching something that's easy to teach. I mean, teaching a flip is fine too. I like teaching people how to flip and jump. But like realistically, like what can people take from like some of this information and apply in their lives? They can at least apply positive thinking. They can at least apply using a crystal. They can at least apply being aware that, you know, there is an emergency on this planet. You know, like we got to learn how to unite people somehow, you know, and we need to be creative about that. And we also need to be able to test our powers out at maximum. You know, if you have these powerful gifts inside you and you don't use them, you're going to lose them. So, you know, it gets people to challenge their old belief systems, you know, because I believe that is one thing that limits people from accessing higher frequencies is that belief system. You know, you can be a very powerful healer, but the truth is a lot of people who don't want the healing, it's not going to affect them. You know, I've experienced this a lot. You know, I've experienced this going out there and showing people like what I could do with energy, but because they're closed-minded to it, it doesn't affect them as much as somebody who's more effective, receptive of it, right? Because you have to always think the mind is very powerful. The mind can resist certain types of energies that's coming at it, right?
Mm-hmm. And it's incredibly interesting, and hopefully, one of these days, you get to I could try like I could be on my phone and you could try what you were just doing a few minutes ago, but like take as much time as you need. I know it's pretty hard if you're on air doing that, so it's better off air. But
I love doing it on there. You know what? I'm not afraid to tell people the truth of what I experienced in my life. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I mean, I tell people this openly because, you know, that's what it means to be a warrior in this world. You know, when you're not afraid of what people think about you, you're no longer in the matrix. Most people live in the matrix because they're afraid of what other people think about them, and because of that, you know, they don't really get a chance to be their true self. They're always out there trying to impress other people. I don't care if people accept what I do or not. You know, I live from my heart. I do what I do, and I have results of it. You know, I've risen my frequency to a point where there's certain people that feel the energy and they want to learn more about it. And then there are some of those other people that may not understand it. They may come back in the future. Like I've been talking about this stuff for about 4 years now. And a lot of my friends in the beginning thought I went crazy. They're just like, this is a little bit too much, Joe. You're talking about aliens and, you know, chakras and all that stuff. I don't get it. Like, what happened to you? I said, well, I used to smoke a lot of weed. I used to drink a lot of alcohol, but I stopped doing that. I started working with energy. And I started to think different. You know, I had to learn more about myself. I learned about my craft. And I started to tune into a higher understanding of what my mission is in this world. You know, and so that's what took a little bit of time, you know. And then later on, these friends come back. They're like, you know, Joe, I started eating different. I started to do some of the things we talked about. And I completely understand you now. Now my friends think I'm crazy. How do you talk to people about this kind of stuff? It's a little bit too much. And I said, you got to learn to make it funny. It takes skill, you know, like always use these words. I know how you feel. I felt the same way. And this is what I found. Wow. And I always find that's really important, you know, because I always tell people, like I said before, I used to be normal. This is what happened to me. This is why I do what I do, because I've experienced different things. You know, like I can tell you I do these things with the weather. I do these things with energy and the supercrystal, but until you experience energy yourself, it may seem like almost like a fantasy. It almost seems like a little bit too far out there, you know. But you know, it's an opportunity now. You know, I watch videos of people do things with energy, and I was like, bro, if these guys meditate that much, what happens if I just do a little bit more meditation? Maybe I can raise my vibration to that level at some degree, you know. So, you know, it's just like learning a backflip. You know, not everybody can learn a big backflip. Maybe you might want to imagine it in your mind first, and then do little baby steps. You know, like the saying goes, you got to be able to crawl before you can stand up and run. So, you know, a lot of the humans in this world have been in the matrix for so long. For them to even imagine these kind of things, it's almost like, you know, they don't like live in a monastery and train like a Shaolin monk all their life. So it's a little bit too much, right?
Mm-hmm. Eventually you get used to it. And that's going to take time to heal, because like any stuff that the New World Order has done 50, 60 years, you know, or even more, that at least for the U.S., that it is thrown overboard, it's going to take even more than that, twice or even longer to actually enlighten people, you know, and actually make them free thinkers like back then. It's going to take a while. But humanity, I believe humanity is going to be awake, and that's inevitable.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, I love storytelling. I believe storytelling is the most powerful tool, and to me, it's the biggest business in the world. You know, like if you can tell a really good story and inspire people, then things will change more, you know? Like I believe that's what's the most important thing right now. Look at your life like it's a story, like it's a movie. And you're like the star, you're the producer, director, you're all those characters in one, right? Wow. And you want to try to live each day like to the max. Every day you conquer fear in your life. That's when you know the secret of life, you know? Wow, so number one is not to be afraid of who you are. A lot of people are really afraid not of the darkness in this world, but they're so afraid of getting to know their inner light. Yeah, and I think that's a really trippy thing.
Some people say you should like go on a long road trip or something alone and find out who you really are.
Oh yeah, I highly recommend it. I mean, all great leaders go and spend time in solitude. Look at even Jesus and Superman or who knows what. I mean, all these masters, that's what they do. You know, like they know they're here on a sacred mission. They're here to change the world in a unique way because they had some crazy revelations. You know, I always believe those who are crazy enough to believe they can change the world are the ones that do.
Steve Jobs.
So, you know, like, yeah, we got to believe that we got to be that leader that we want to follow. You know, I think it's important to learn how to follow your higher self. Yeah. And when you learn how to follow your higher self, you're just intuitively guided by divine energies. It's hard to follow your higher self if you don't even know you have a higher self. You know, most people don't know what to do in this world, so they naturally copy other people around them, and they forget their originality. You know, I believe your originality, you already know what you're supposed to do when you're a child, you know, and then the world tries to make you forget that. So that's a major tragedy in this world, is that people stop believing in their own powers, you know, and that's what the Illuminati make us believe. They make us believe that they have all the power and we're powerless against them.
No, we are the most powerful people. But wait, before you go, what would you like to say to all the listeners out there?
I think it's important that all the listeners out there don't be afraid to dare to dream as big as you can. You know, always follow your dreams, and you know, and always remember the word impossible really means I'm possible. So, you know, some people may say something like, "Oh, that sounds impossible," but you know what? Maybe success in life is to prove them wrong. You know, some people say, you can't do that, you can't do this. Just say, good, watch me, I'm going to do it. So that's the secret, is to attach your happiness towards a goal, and a lot of people, they attach their happiness to people or things, and those things change all the time. Learn to find that thing inside you that makes you excited, that your passion, because when you're really passionate about something, it's more powerful than 99 people who are just slightly interested. So yeah, find what it is. I mean, for me, it's about telling a story. If there's any story that's going to be left in this world that this crazy guy who does flips with a crystal and does magical things existed, I want that story to spread and inspire other people, because you never know what people in the future may hear about that. You know what I mean? So yeah, just don't fake it till you make it in that sort of way, and imagine it. Imagine that you already have it, and hold the highest frequency that you can, because that's the law of attraction. When you have such a high feeling inside you, and you hold that vision of what you truly want, and you practice these techniques with meditation, you will manifest things quicker. So, don't be afraid to ask the universe what you want specifically, because, a lot of times people don't know what they want. So it's important to be very specific with what you want when you're putting an intention on the universe. All right, my friends, and don't be afraid to call on the power of Archangel Michael. All those Illuminati cockroaches that think they're in power, Freemasons and all that, their time's taken up quick. And the arrival of the inner earth beings will come, and people will start to be living in freedom again, and we can create a better world just because we're not afraid to share our story and make the world better. So thanks for tuning into my stories, and
no problem.
I'm really grateful to be on this show with you.
Thanks for being on, Joe.
Thank you.
No problem. And in a few months, I want to try to get you on again, if possible. I'm on till May.
Yeah, that sounds incredible. I think it's a beautiful gift to share a story with the world in a time like now.
Yeah, I hope. Good luck with your mission in California, and please document that and upload that to YouTube. Have a bunch of experts, document that and all that. Get the news.
Well, what I believe is going to happen is that when word spreads, when I'm out there again, that there's a lot of rain, there's just going to be people documenting themselves. Like when I'm doing this kind of work, I'm putting my focus at it. So there's going to be other people who are going to say, I hear you're doing stuff with these crystals and rain. I like to be part of that. Where do I learn how to do this? I said, well, meet me at Mount Shasta. Let's go buy a super crystal, and you can pick which one you want, which one calls out to you. And I'll do energy work on you to activate you. And at the same time, you can learn to do this on other people. And then we can do this to affect the weather. And the more people that come here together, it's going to magnify it.
And
so
anybody who, you got to also watch your back too, and make sure you have bodyguards if possible. Because
actually those forces better have bodyguards, because when you're doing the work of the divine, you just got to be in your full power. Don't be afraid. People out there should not be afraid of these forces. These forces think they can bully us with fear. That's what a bully is like. They feed off fear. When you're going out with your whole heart, I highly recommend reading the book The Alchemist. It talks a lot about the things that I do. Because that's what spiritual alchemy is. It's working with divine forces and putting yourself at the test. You're at a sacred mountain. There's no rain. Try it out. Go on the mountain. Say, look, I'm going to raise my vibration like Joe Eigo does. I'm going to call on a storm like he says. I'm going to call Archangel Michael. I'm going to use a crystal. And it may be a small crystal, a big crystal. I'm going to call these rainstorms to come. And once you get better at doing that at the mountain, maybe you could just do that everywhere you go. Learn how to look at the sky and recognize those chemtrails and see if you can blast them away with your energy. And then if you get enough power, you can use that energy too to do other things. But test yourself. If you have the power to do that, what else can you do?
And of course, and make sure you actually find a way to document that. Oh, don't forget, that way people can actually see, on video. Oh wow, this guy's actually trying to do it, and see if you could get a news story written in some article. Right to the Guardian, Russia Today, even the mainstream media, somebody, at least on the local level, has got to be interested in this stuff, because, try to get yourself out there. It's not you can't be alone and doing all these stunts,
Well, it's time. People out there, they're going to start to question these things. And, hey, you know what?
I hope you can make it rain, because California really needs
rain. I've done it more than 5 times already, and I can do it again. I just got to get out there. In the meantime, I'm enjoying it here.
If possible, you can come to the east and make all this snow and cold weather go away.
Well, I'm doing a pretty good job here in Toronto. If you come to Toronto, there's not a lot of heavy snowstorms like in Boston and all those other East Coast areas that are completely affected by the chemtrails. I know there's a lot of people that pick up the snow from these chemtrails spraying and they burn it, and it smells like burnt plastic. And they look at the snow and they're like, the snow doesn't look like snow anymore. It looks like plastic. What the heck are they spraying on us? I said, well, look up in the sky. Look up what geoengineering is, chemtrails. Like when you start seeing that stuff in the sky, it should get you a little bit angry once in a while, because if it's not getting you angry, then it means the poisons are working on you. You know what I mean? This is the reason why a lot of people are getting Alzheimer's and ALS and all these health problems, breathing problems, because of these chemtrails. They contaminate the soil in California, so you can't even grow food on it. It's an emergency. These forces are trying to destroy our planet, and they think they can do it by using these weapons. We got to become the technology to counteract these kind of forces. We got to work with the unseen realm. Yeah. A lot of people who are scientific thinking, they may think this is a little bit hokey pokey, but you know what? A lot of these shamans have been doing this for eons. What are they doing when they're doing rain dances? Do you think they're just making that up? They're building up the energy field around them, and they're connecting with the spirit of the earth to affect the weather. The weather is an expression of the earth's emotions. When you know how to connect with the earth's energy field and you know how to connect with other realms, you can do these kind of things.
Wow.
So it's a really powerful time to do this. If we don't fight for our planet, these forces will do everything they can to destroy it. And, in the end, some people are like, I wish I would have tried something, but I was too afraid to do anything. Now I'm in a concentration camp and they're forcing people to take vaccines, which have poison in it.
Hang together, be hung separate,
What's that?
Let's hang together, be hung separate.
Yeah, we got to do something. We got to tell a story.
Either get together and try to have change, or everybody's head is gonna be in the wall.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We got to look at what was George Orwell talking about in that book, 1984. Mm-hmm. Was he really making that as a training manual to prepare us for what's happening right now? Look, they're going to try to turn off the internet on everybody. You think people are ready if they turn off the power? People can't even take money out of the bank. The only people who are ready for that are the Amish people.
So we got to be off the grid.
Yeah. So right now in California, they make it illegal for you to collect rainwater. In Michigan, they make it illegal to grow your own food.
I talked to someone off air, and they're like, "Oh yeah, there is some kind of thing you have to have a permit," and they act as if it's justified. And I'm like, "Are you freaking kidding me right now?" And these people
permit for what?
Utah. And that's where this craziness also goes in. You have to collect permit to have rainwater on your own property. Get out of here.
Yeah, eventually they'll pass a law saying it's illegal for you to look at the sun. The sun. We gotta spray the sun with chemicals.
Forced inoculations too. Don't forget.
What's that?
Forced inoculations. They'll have forced vaccines on you, and that's when the Second Amendment is gonna have to come into play. Everybody's gonna have to get their guns because I'm not calling for violence.
I recommend that. Never surrender your weapons. That's what they did in World War II. Look what happened to them. And that's why America right now is the military power of the earth. These evil Zionists are trying to destroy America from the inside out right now. Obama, the Antichrist, serves a dark master, and these people need to be taught a lesson. People out there should not be afraid. It needs to be a revolution of something. We got to give everything we got.
Like Iceland had.
Which one?
Iceland had a revolution not too long ago.
Yeah. So all these evil Zionists are going to countries that don't have a central bank trying to take them over. So get your information from everywhere, my friends. Don't be afraid to speak your truth.
Yep.
If you could go back in time right now in 9/11 when that happened and tell people, look, I come from the future. I come from 2015. And in 2015, they're going to try to pull the same stunt. This is what they did in 2015.
Yeah.
People back in 2001 were saying, you sound crazy. You sound like a conspiracy theorist. Say, look, you call me conspiracy theorist all you want, but these are the facts. Look at, right now the internet isn't as popular, but in the future, people are going to have internet on their phones and they're going to share information. I would come from the future to change the outcome. So imagine time travel. You go back in time and change things. We have the opportunity right now to change the future. Every action we think, everything we do can change the future. We could prevent World War III from happening because people will say, I don't want to participate in this war. What the hell is this all about?
And time travel is good, but that's another topic for another time. But overall, thank you for being on the show, Joe.
Anytime, and you know what? There's so much to share, and we're just kickstarting it. This is 2015. It's a beautiful time to get kickstarted, and people are starting to get on fire.
Let's kill them,
Yeah, gotta put this information out there. The truth hurts, but it's better than getting hit by lies your whole life. Yep. So this is It's good.
All right. Thank you for being on, Joe.
Take care. Have a magical time. Take care, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Love ya.
Thank you. You too. Wow. To think just you would think that is just a regular stuntman, but no, he isn't. It's unless you talk to someone, you really can't know much about him. You may think, oh wow, that guy or girl seem pretty awkward. Are they always like that? But then when you talk to them, you're like, wow, you're very interesting. And all these people could think of is it could be sports entertainment, but when you talk to someone and it could be for a long time, wow. Yeah, no matter how long it is, it's incredibly interesting. It's like profound how someone could get, you would think that someone just right there in the away from the crowd in the corner somewhere, but then when you talk to him, you're like, wow, you're more interesting than all these people around me. But you're just afraid to talk, Yeah, the smart ones are full of fear, but while the stupid people could have all the confidence in the world. But we gotta change that, We can make a difference. Anything is possible in this life, man. Think of the Wright brothers, think of NASA. Back then, that would be nuts, but recently, or a few decades ago, come on. It happened. Back then, science was considered magic. So maybe in the future. And if all this future technology, let's make sure it goes in the wrong hands and in the right purposes, like trying to help people if they have Alzheimer's or they have epilepsy. Don't poison anybody. Try to help them out. If you're gonna use geoengineering, make sure it's to help a farmer with a rainy day. We're helping people out. It depends. It's a two-way street. You can either use it to save someone's life or to kill them. I can only hope the world does the right choice, makes the right choice. You know what I mean. I hope we all can make the right choice, man, because it's only one planet, one life. And which path do you choose? Come on, what do you say?